We are live on LinkedIn. Confirmed. We are live on Facebook. Confirmed. We are live on Rumble. We're live on YouTube. We're live on X, Instagram. Good morning, TikTok. Good morning. As we proceed, let's give everybody what they need. We are, who do we have in here? Nikki, good morning. Good to see you in here as usual. Topic here today, we're going to talk about dating the OnlyFans girl, dating the sex workers. I'm talking about this for a specific reason. Some of you may know about something that is in the news right now. I'm going to explain to you what it is. I'm going to explain to you why it is and how some men, actually a lot of men, need to be careful about moving sloppy, operating sloppy out here in these streets. Good morning, Cynthia, over there on YouTube. We got the right mic. We got the right mic. All right. So those of y'all on TikTok asking what's the topic, that's the topic here today, is men being careful how you operate around sex workers. Any woman is doing any type of work that involves sex. She makes her money by selling any form of sex, whether that be pictures, video, actually doing the act, et cetera, et cetera. We had to discuss this because several reasons why we need to discuss this. All right, so let's just get into why we need to discuss. First of all, let me tell you what happened here. There's a guy named Shannon Sharpe. Some of you are familiar with Shannon. He is a TV former NFL player, Hall of Fame NFL player. Good morning, Brandy, over there on Instagram. Hall of Fame NFL player. He got into broadcasting after his NFL career, and he was on Fox Sports with Skip Bayless. Now he's over on ESPN. He does a show with Stephen A. Smith, very well-known guy in the sports space. And he has his own podcast called Club Shay Shay, which is maybe more, he's probably gotten more traction, let's just say. Good morning, Danny. Good morning, Maina, over there on TikTok. He's got more traction from his podcast, maybe than he even gets from being on television. So what happened is he got caught up a bit. He has a lawsuit levied against him. A lawsuit. This is not a criminal case. It's a lawsuit where some woman who he was allegedly dating, and he's pretty much admitted to dating her, so we can verify they were dating. When I say dating, we're just using that as a catch-all term. I don't think they went on any dates, but you get what I'm saying. So he's dating this woman who is claiming assault of the sexual nature. All right, that's what this woman is claiming. And she's also putting out a clip from a phone conversation that allegedly happened between Shannon Sharpe, the former NFL player, and the girl. And the girl is named Gabrielle or something. I haven't seen any photos of her name. Let's just say the girl. Doesn't even matter. And she's claiming threats. She put out this video clip or audio clip of them talking on the phone where Shannon says, hey, she said, they're talking and she says, I don't want you to manipulate me in the midst of the conversation. This is out of context of the conversation. And then he responds to that by saying, hey, if you say that word again, I'm going to choke the shit out of you. Something along those lines is said in the clip. And this is not a very long clip. You can see this on social media. It was going around yesterday. Shannon Sharpe puts out a statement, and this is a statement. He didn't come out and speak on it. He put out a statement, meaning it's a prepared statement, obviously either written by or vetted by his legal team, where you can see that he's reading. He's looking up at the screen and he's reading. And he's saying, I'm coming out with this message. I just want to make sure all of you hear it straight from me, that this was a consensual relationship with this woman. And she has this lawyer, this guy, Tony Busby. We talked about this guy before. This seems to be Tony Busby's thing. This is his game. Those of you who don't know who Tony Busby is, he's an attorney who I believe is based in Texas. And what this guy does is somehow, some way, he has found this niche where he finds, or I guess he is sought out by women who want to push some type of sexual natured lawsuit against men who seem to be prominent men. And the reason that they do this, those of you who don't understand how the legal system works in America, we are the most litigious society in the world. And for those of you who don't know what that means, here's what it means and why it matters, is that it is very easy to file a lawsuit against pretty much anyone in the United States of America. And if that person happens to be a person with resources, and usually you don't file a lawsuit against somebody unless you believe they have some level of resources, because otherwise, even if you win, you can't get anything. If you file a lawsuit against a broke person, you don't get any money. They don't have any money. So even if you win the judgment, they don't have anything to be taken. But you file lawsuits against people or companies. Companies get sued all the time. It's often companies getting sued more than it is people, because they will just pay off, i.e. settle the lawsuit. That's what's called paying someone off. Settle the lawsuit rather than actually go to court and fight it, because the time it takes to go to court and fight it, even if you win, the amount of money you spend on the lawsuit itself, then the amount of information that comes out in the discovery process of that lawsuit can hurt the company more than the actual money that you would spend, in defending yourself. What's going on, Tay, over there on YouTube? And by the way, I'm going to take questions and comments at the end. So this guy, Tony Busby, has found his niche in doing this. Why? I just explained to you why. This is why. And listen, that doesn't mean that these lawyers or the women who are coming to the lawyer and ending up with these lawsuits doesn't necessarily mean that they're lying. Now, we don't know if they're lying or not, and we may never know, honestly. That's the reason why I just told you all I gave you very much of an explanation yesterday and in previous days that we are actively in an information war that is never going to end. And one of the reasons, or one of the byproducts of this information war, is that we will never actually know the real truth of a whole lot of things. What it really comes down to these days is what you decide to believe. That's really what it is. We'll never know the real truth. What happened in the 2020 election? Will we ever really know? No, because half the people are going to tell you one version, another half are going to tell you another version, and they both sound convincing. Which one do you want to believe? That's really what it comes down to. So what happened with Shannon Sharpe and this girl? Will we ever really know what happened? The answer is probably not, because the only way we would really know what happened, if you so choose to believe it, is if the two of them come together and say, this is exactly what happened, and it doesn't sound like that's ever going to occur. You understand? So this is why we're in an information war. Anybody can come up with their own version of a story, and if you were not there to see it yourself, then you don't really know. You're just deciding which version of the story you would like to accept. That's one of the byproducts of the information war. So the girl is coming out with her lawyer saying, ABC, he did this. Shannon's coming out and saying, no, it wasn't the way that they're framing it. And again, we'll never know. So this guy, Tony Busby, again, back to the lawyer. He's the lawyer who was behind, y'all remember the NFL player Deshaun Watson? Several years ago, this guy who was playing at the time for the Texas NFL team, the Houston Texans. He now, last I checked, he was playing for the Cleveland Browns. I don't know if he's still on the roster. But Deshaun Watson is this NFL quarterback who had a big contract. Again, usually these people who are publicly known for having money that this lawyer will go at. He had a big contract, and he had a couple women come out and say, hey, I work at a massage parlor, or I'm a massage therapist, and I had Deshaun Watson, this quarterback, as a client, and this guy did some improper things that made me feel as if I had been assaulted of a sexual nature. And a few women came out and they basically had this lawsuit against Deshaun Watson. Then after those few women came out, what it is, for those of you who don't know how this works, when a lawyer files a civil suit against a company or a person, often they're doing it as what we call a dog whistle. Those who know what a dog whistle is, if you ever heard the term, a dog whistle, an actual dog whistle is a whistle that when you blow it, the sound is at a frequency that the human ears cannot hear. So if you actually blow a dog whistle, a literal dog whistle, you and I could not hear the sound, but your dog very much hears the sound and it draws their attention immediately. So when they call something a dog whistle, what they're saying is when you sue, let's say I go call a lawyer and I sue Apple. I sue Apple for some reason. I'm saying they did something wrong to the phone and it hurt me, and now I'm going to take Apple to court for whatever reason. When I put out that lawsuit, me, myself, the first one, what it does is it signals dog whistles to a bunch of other people like, hey, if this guy is successful in suing Apple and Apple has $300 billion in the bank, hey, maybe I can sue Apple too. So the lawsuit, the first lawsuit, is often a dog whistle to everybody else. Hey, it's a gravy train over here. We can sue this person or this company and we can get some money out of them. So Tony Busby has developed this reputation from both angles of it. He has his reputation with women, obviously, that if there's some man who has allegedly done something wrong to you, come to me, we will sue him. And then Tony Busby, why does he want to do that? Number one, because the man might settle and pay off the woman, so he makes some money. Number two is that if there are 10 or 20 or 30 other women who might also want to sue that same guy, if he's successful with the first one, then he can be successful with the second, the third, the fourth, and the fifth one, or maybe get them all together. And again, as long as they're suing an entity who is noted for having money, this could be a great payday for him as an attorney. So this is a niche that he has decided to get himself into. Now, again, does it mean that he is dishonest necessarily? No. Does it mean he's telling the truth necessarily? No. But this is the niche that this guy has decided to jump into, this guy, Tony Busby. So anyway, this guy, Deshaun Watson, not former, but NFL quarterback, he got caught up in this situation where all these women, I don't know if any of you remember the actual number. What was the total number of women who actually accused Deshaun Watson of sexual improprieties? Let me see if I can find the number. NFL quarterback Deshaun Watson, when he got sued for sexual improprieties with all of those women from his massage visits, how many total women were there who were suing him at the time? And what was the outcome of the situation? So I'm trying to find out the final number. I believe they settled the cases, but let me find out. This was not a criminal case. This was a civil case, by the way. So these misconduct allegations, this guy, Deshaun Watson, right? So the first woman comes out and says Deshaun Watson did some, he got a massage from me. So she's a woman giving him a massage, and 24 different women ultimately, most massage therapists all filed civil lawsuits accusing him of inappropriate and coercive behavior during the massage session. He, of course, says, I didn't do that. So he settled 20 of the 24 lawsuits. Then by 2023, he settled 23 of the 24 lawsuits. Now, why does that matter? First of all, this guy, Deshaun Watson, had a huge contract for a whole lot of money. NFL quarterback is like the most important and most prestigious position in all of professional sports. So this guy was publicly noted. This is how much money his contract is for. It's a lot of money, whatever that amount was. He settled 23 of these 24 cases. What does that mean? He settled the case. That means whatever he got sued for, let's say each woman sued him for $1 million. Let's say he goes to them and says, okay, instead of us going to court and me hiring a lawyer and me fighting you over the $1 million, how about I just give you $250,000 and you withdraw the lawsuit and it's over? That's called a settlement. So he had to pay off 23 out of 24 women. I don't know what the amount was. Usually when cases get settled in this way, it's a confidential settlement and you cannot disclose publicly what the amount was. We don't know what the amount was. He got sued for all this money. Let me see if I can find out the amount. What was the dollar amount of all of the lawsuits that Deshaun Watson was facing? See if we can find a dollar amount. We still won't know how much the settlement was for, because the settlement could be anywhere from $1 to all the way close to what it was. And reports suggest that may have paid approximately $5 million to settle 20 of the cases, averaging around, hey, great guess by me, $250,000 per settlement. So again, that sounds about right. He paid each woman, let's say, maybe around $250K. Estimates suggest that this guy, Deshaun Watson, with the legal fees, the money he paid to his lawyers, and all the settlements, he might have spent $10 million of his own money trying to get out from under this situation, on top of the fact that he got suspended by the NFL for 11 games, and he had to pay a $5 million fine. And you don't get paid for those games in which you're suspended. So this guy lost a lot of money over this situation, Mr. Deshaun Watson. Now, again, maybe he deserved to lose the money because he was wrong. Maybe he didn't deserve to lose the money because he got shook down by these women. But again, we will never know because we're in an information war. This guy, Tony Busby, is the lawyer that, again, has branded himself as the guy. If you want to go after a prominent man who has made a lot of money and is known he has money, call me and we can go do it. So this guy, Tony Busby. Y'all remember the Jay-Z case that lasted for about a week earlier this year, where this random girl alleged that 20 or so years ago, Jay-Z assaulted her of a sexual nature at a party, again, like 20 years ago. And it was like 4 hours away from where she actually lived. And she called her dad, and her dad drove to come get her. And the story didn't even make any sense when it even came out. But they filed a lawsuit against Jay-Z. And he made enough noise, Tony Busby that is, made enough noise with this lawsuit that it got Jay-Z's response. And y'all remember Jay-Z's response? He was basically trashing this guy. This guy's a fake lawyer in a cheap suit, and he's this, that, just trashed Tony Busby. And about a week later, very quietly, that lawsuit was retracted and it went away. And people are saying, well, people shouldn't be allowed. A lot of males say this. A woman and a lawyer should not be allowed to file lawsuits against men and basically damaging your reputation. Because even that situation with Jay-Z, the lawsuit got pulled back, but Jay-Z still had to respond to that. And he said, hey, I got kids. My kids are going to see that there was a lawsuit against me that claimed I did something to a woman. I have a wife. I got female children. How are you going to go and throw that out there and just let this be okay? And Jay-Z claimed he was going to countersue Tony Busby for even doing it. Don't know what happened with that. But Tony Busby, again, this built his reputation. I'm bringing up Tony Busby because guess who's the lawyer for this woman who's suing Shannon Sharpe? Same guy. Tony Busby is the lawyer for this woman who is suing Shannon Sharpe right now. And if you heard Shannon Sharpe's statement, he put it out on social media yesterday. I was looking at it on X earlier today. The last I saw, the video Shannon Sharpe did had like 42 million views. So he put out a video, is 1 minute and 9 seconds long, is right here. So you look up Shannon Sharpe. He posted it on his own account, and The video has, let me check, it might have went up since I last looked at it. 44 million views. This video he put out yesterday, 44 million views, is a minute long. So all of you can go look it up and you can listen to it on your own time. I already told you what he said. He basically said that didn't happen. And he also mentioned Tony Busby. He says this guy, Tony Busby, his whole thing is trying to bring down prominent black men. And there is some credence to that because Deshaun Watson is black, Jay-Z is black, Shannon Sharpe is black. And I don't know what other people Tony Busby, let's see if we can find out more about Tony Busby. The lawyer Tony Busby, what people does he have a history of bringing lawsuits against since he has come to prominence? Let's see if we can find a list here. ChatGPT is very good. Y'all don't use ChatGPT, you should be using it. All right, so Tony Busby is a high-profile Houston-based attorney who represents clients in prominent and often controversial cases. His legal career spans a variety of lawsuits against individuals, corporations, and public figures. And by the way, this lawsuit game is mostly against companies because companies will pay you off just to go away. Suing an individual is a little bit trickier, but he has done this. So here's the people he sued. Deshaun Watson, I told you about. He has filed lawsuits on behalf of more than 50 people against Mr. Puff Daddy, P. Diddy. Sean P. Diddy Combs, all those civil suits against him. Guess who the lawyer is? Tony Busby, same guy. Also, Deshaun Watson, black. P. Diddy, black. Jay-Z, I just told you about. Jay-Z's black. Shannon Sharpe, black. Another guy, Mr. A.T., whose name I can't say on TikTok. Mr. A.T., the bald-headed guy who used to be a kickboxer who lives in Romania. He has a brother, and that guy, his lawsuit. He has a lawsuit right now from a girl that he allegedly physically assaulted. And right after he was in America last month and he left America, and then a week later, the girl says, well, my boyfriend, Mr. A.T., beat me up. And she filed a lawsuit. That woman, guess who the lawyer is? Tony Busby. And Mr. A.T. is half black. So this guy's whole thing is going after, he also filed a lawsuit against Travis Scott. So a couple of years ago, Travis Scott had this concert in, where was this? Was this in Houston? I don't know where the concert was. I remember Travis Scott had this concert years ago, his Astro World tour. Astro World was a good album, by the way. And 120 people got injured, and a couple people lost their lives during a crowd crush at Travis Scott's concert. And 120 people claimed victimhood. They filed a $750 million lawsuit against Travis Scott and his festival organization. So this guy, Tony Busby, has found a niche in doing things like this. And again, I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm not saying he's right. I'm just saying this is what he does. So Shannon Sharpe put all of that out there as part of the framing of, they're only coming at me because I'm a prominent black man who's successful. So this guy, Tony Busby, that's his whole game. There is some credence to that. By the way, Shannon Sharpe, I didn't know about this, but when the lawsuit stuff came out, I heard everybody saying it, that Shannon Sharpe is reportedly about to do like $100 million deal for either, I don't know, for his podcast or his work on ESPN, whatever, that he's on the cusp of signing a contract for $100 million that's going to pay him all this money for his media work. And then as soon as that news comes out, he's about to get all this money. All of a sudden he gets sued by this woman who claims that he assaulted her of a sexual nature. All of that being said, okay, I want to talk about the bigger picture here. It's not really about Shannon Sharpe. I want to talk about the bigger picture of males. And those of you who are women who are listening to this, if you are not an OnlyFans user or OnlyFans publisher, or you're not a sex worker, you should still listen to this because you have men in your life, whether your sons, brothers, or I don't know, young men who you, mentor in the neighborhood, whatever. They need to understand what I'm going to talk about here today, because this is about men and how you move in the bigger picture when you get involved with women who may be operating already in the sex business, especially if you know they're operating in the sex business. Another thing about Shannon Sharpe in this situation. Shannon is in his mid-50s. So I believe he's 54, 55, somewhere in that age range. So let me not overshoot. Let's say he's in his 50s. All right, Shannon Sharpe is in his 50s, 50. The woman that he is allegedly, he said he had a consensual relationship with this woman. So he's not saying he doesn't know the chick. He said there was a consensual relationship, and he posted, if y'all didn't see this, he posted as a kind of counterbalance to what she was putting out and her lawyer was putting out about him. He posted a bunch of alleged text messages that woman had sent to him. And this woman is saying stuff. I'm assuming this woman's not black. This woman was saying things like, hey, I want that big black COCK on me. Or I want you to put a black baby in me. And I want you to put a dog collar around me and FUC me. however way you want to. And he put out these texts that allegedly she sent. And he put that out as a way of, again, counterbalancing the news items that were coming out about him. So he is not denying that he knows the chick. He's not denying that he had sex with the chick. All he's saying is that everything we did was consensual. So for her to come out here and claim assault doesn't make any sense. Okay. Now the woman, allegedly, this woman was 19 when they met. Shannon Sharpe is 50 something. She was 19, and I believe now she's in her early 20s. This chick, white chick, I'm assuming, because again, black girls don't say to black men, "I want you to put that big black COCK in me." Black people don't talk like that. Only somebody who's not black would say something like that. Don't ask me how I know. Now, that's what we're going to talk about here today. So let's get into these points here of, again, this is about men, how you're moving, if you're going to deal with a woman who's in the sex business. Now, why does it even matter? Why would they even be talking about this? Because some of you might be like, well, Dre, why is that even a subject? Why would you, as a man, need to tell other men about how to operate if you're going to deal with a woman who's in the sex business? That's a very good question. Let me answer that question. Answer to the question is this. Answer to the question is, these days, it is much easier for a woman to get into the sex working industry than it's ever been. See, it used to be if you wanted to be in the sex working industry, you had to meet somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody. And then everything you did, you had to physically go to a geographical location to do it. I.e., you had to go to some hotel room to film some corn video. And you had to go to where the thing was. Or you could be an escort, but people had to find you. And you had to go to the person. Or they had to come pick you up. You had to physically be around the people you were working with. Nowadays, now that we have OnlyFans and what's the other one? Fansly and all these other sites here where you can sell access to explicit content, you can become that's still sex work, by the way. Even if you're not physically shaking hands with anybody, that's still sex work. If you're taking your clothes off and showing yourself explicitly in order to get paid for it, that is sex work. You're selling sex. So you can do that from your living room. You can be a sex worker making a full-time income off of sex without ever leaving your house. Why does that matter? That matters because it is easier, and this is why the ladies who are listening to this, if you have daughters or sisters or young women who you mentor, you understand just as well as I'm explaining here, it's very easy for a woman to get into the sex working business these days, much easier than it used to be. She could be doing it from her phone in her bedroom and nobody even knows about it unless she happens to put her face out behind what she's doing. These days, I see on social media, you can see people posting pics and stuff. They never even show their face, but they're still selling sex work. So since it's so easy for women to get involved, there are more women doing sex work now than there have ever been. That's the one reason why this matters. And again, I'm talking to the men here today, but I'm explaining to you all why this matters. So there are more women doing sex work now than there's ever been, number one. Number two, more men are engaging with women through the phone, through screens, than in person. Those of you who are old enough to remember, if you're 35 or older, all of you remember that there was a time that if you are a man and you wanted to talk to a girl, or you are a boy, just a male, you want to talk to a female who you were interested in any way, you had to actually physically, somehow, some way, be in the space of that female. You had to actually speak to her in real life. Yes, we had text messaging. Yes, we had phones, but the initial contact had to be in person somehow, some way. Generally, everybody understands this. But now a man can talk to a girl through the phone. He never met her in person, never saw her in person. They might not even be in the same place. These engagements can happen. This is not necessarily a good or a bad thing. The point is, it's easier to engage with people through passive forms of communication as opposed to back in the day. I guess we got to call it back in the day now. Back in the day, when if you wanted to talk to a girl, you had to actually go to where girls were and actually physically speak to them, which I believe is much more of a challenge than talking to somebody through a direct message, for example. Another thing you got to understand is that a woman who's working in the sex work space, how many DMs is she getting every day from random thirsty men? I want y'all to put a number in the comments. What do you think? A woman who is posting her body and suggestively selling her body on the internet on a daily basis, how many DMs do you think she's getting a day? Give me a number. How many direct messages do you think she's getting every day in her inbox on that social media platform from allegedly men who are interested, or they're thirsty, as we say, or she just has their attention? How many DMs a day? So let's see. I see 150. James says hundreds. Armando says 50. The Agree KD says hundreds. Melvin says 215. Kopar says couple thousand. Blake says 150. User says 250. Mary says thousands. I think we're talking definitely hundreds with an S on it. I think we're talking hundreds, plural, hundreds. These women are getting DMs all day, every day and they probably so many DMs that they can't even read them all unless they have a manager or something who's going through this to maybe push those people. Hey, go to my OnlyFans. You want more? Go to my OnlyFans. Whatever. What does all this mean for men if you're out there? I'm bringing all this up to say that many of you men, especially those of you who are younger, if you don't have a lot of life experience and a lot of female engagement experience, that you will be, because you're a heterosexual man. If you're a heterosexual man and your reproductive organs work, when you see these pictures, it's going to get your attention. All right, I'm not telling you you're wrong if it gets your attention. You should actually be happy that it gets your attention. If you're a woman and you have a man in your life and he happens to stop scrolling when he sees one of these pictures, don't be mad at him. You should be happy, because if he doesn't stop scrolling when he sees one of those, that's when you should actually get concerned. To be honest. But anyway, you men understand that you're going to be intrigued by these. You will see these, and you may even be thinking that maybe, for lack of a better term, thinking that maybe you should reach out to this woman, have a conversation with this woman, maybe date this woman, maybe make her your girlfriend. And again, if you're under the age of 30, I can understand how you look at that and say, wow, wouldn't it be great if that was my wife or my girlfriend, or if she was with me all day, every day, forever. I could just have access to that, especially what she's showing on her Instagram. If I could have access to that all day, every day, well, 3, 4, 5 times a day, that would be amazing. This person could be my girlfriend. I'm going to tell you to pump your brakes. Okay. Here's why. All right. There's a couple of reasons why. I'm going to get into all my points to help you understand why that's not a good idea. It sounds like a good idea, but it's not a good idea for that to be a long-term relationship thing. A weekend thing, fine. One-time thing, fine. Every now and then, also fine. But long-term relationship, this is your one? No. And that's what my points are going to be here. First of all, number one thing all of you need to understand is the second law of economics, which is the law of diminishing marginal returns. The law of diminishing marginal returns means what? It means that when you have a fixed resource, by the way, each of you as an individual human, you are a fixed resource. The more you add on to a fixed resource, eventually you hit a sweet spot to where you have gotten your fill of that thing and it's the proper amount. And if you keep adding more and more and more of it, then eventually you don't get the same benefits from it time number 25 that you got time number 1 through 24. You understand? Too much of anything starts to not feel as good as it felt the first time. This is why you don't eat too much candy. This is why a human being, when you're hungry, go eat some food, but don't eat so much food that you start overeating and you start gaining weight, and it actually makes you worse. There's a certain amount that you got to hit the sweet spot. First law of economics is supply and demand. All right, there is a demand. There's a biological demand as men that we have for certain types of intimacy. But once you get the right amount, then it starts to hurt you if you have too much of it. Everybody understand what I'm saying here without me being too explicit? Now, what does this have to do with these women? Because you might say, well, Jerry, doesn't that apply to all women? The answer is yes. Here's the thing. Here's what you got to catch. This applies to any woman, right? Too much of anything from any woman might start to become overkill to the point that it doesn't feel as good as it felt the first time. Here's the thing. The sex working woman, only reason you got interested in her in the first place is because what she was selling you. What was she selling? How'd you meet her? What was she intriguing you with? She was intriguing you with sex, with her body parts, with whatever body part she was showing off that you were intrigued by. And you said, that would be fun for me to have access to that. And you're right. It would be fun to have access to that. The problem is, after the 10th time that you have access to it, if she doesn't have anything else to offer, what is she there for? And now you're sitting there like, damn, maybe this wasn't as good a decision as it sounded like when I was looking at her on Instagram, because yes, this part is good, but there's nothing else here. And see, this is the reason why this doesn't apply to all women. Because see, there are other women out there, I'm assuming some of you who are listening to this right now, that yes, you can supply that to a man. You have to. Biologically, you need it the same way that he needs it. And if you're going to reproduce, it must happen. The thing is, if you're going to make a long-term relationship with a woman, that woman better be able to provide you something other than what the OnlyFans girl is selling you on Instagram. Do you understand what I'm saying? Everybody get my drift here? Because again, if you have enough life experience, men out there who have enough life experience, you should understand this very well. I'll say this as a person who's been to a lot of places. I've been damn near everywhere in America. I've been overseas. as a professional athlete, I live in South Florida. I've been here for almost 20 years. I'll tell you that, again, the woman that you see on the surface, when you see her in the gym, when you see her on social media, when you see the pictures, of course it's going to draw your attention. That's why she's there. She's doing it to draw your attention, and it worked. But after you get what you wanted to get, understand the 80-20 principle, folks. 80-20 principle is 80% of your results come from 20% of your inputs. And any person that you're dealing with, the most you're going to get out of them is 80%. The issue with the girl who is selling her body as the main object is that once you get past your engagement with the body that she was selling you, you got what she was selling, you bought it, she sold it, cool, the exchange happened. At some point, you reach that diminishing returns point. Like, okay, this was cool, this is great, I'm enjoying it. However, when we're not doing that, what's here? What is this? When we're not doing that, what can you offer me and what can I offer you? The problem is, folks, she might not have much more to offer you, because if she did, well, this is just a theory of mine, and you can take this wherever you want. If she had something else to offer you, maybe she wouldn't have been selling what she was selling in the first place. In my life experience, that's generally true. Generally true that if she has something other than that, what she's showing you on the internet to offer you, if she had something other than that, she wouldn't be selling what she's selling. She's selling what she's selling because that might be all you get. Everybody understand? 80-20 principle, folks. 80-20 principle, folks. The most you're going to get out of any woman is 80%. No woman's going to give you 100%. What does this mean for men out there, especially those of you men who are looking for a long-term relationship? You're looking for a wife. You're looking to build a family. Understand, there's another thing that I will say. This is just my personal experience, and any man in here, and this hasn't come from the men. Women can't answer this question. But from the men here, the woman who can sell you that, usually it is everything that it is sold up to be. Whatever she's offering you and showing you, when you see it and you think, damn, that would be great, usually it is what she says it is. All right, she's selling you, what she's selling you is real. Here's the thing. That everything else that you would want in a long-term relationship for a woman, she might not have it. That's the problem. On top of the fact that all you men need to understand this, and as you get older, some of you understand this sooner, some of you understand it later, that if she's selling that and you purchased, listen very carefully, if she's selling you that and you bought it, do you think you're the first customer? Are you the first customer? You know, back in the days when people had small businesses, they would open their business, and when they made their first sale, they would take the first dollar and they would frame it up on the wall as the first dollar. Let me ask you a question, men. Are you the first dollar? Right, if you buy that, are you the first dollar? Are you going to be the last dollar? These are things you need to think about. These are things you must consider, gentlemen. Okay, you're not the first dollar, and you might not be the last dollar. Are you okay with that? These are things you need to consider. Most men may say, well, I don't care up front. That's fine if you are using the tool the way the tool is supposed to be used. A hammer is used for certain things. Use a screwdriver for certain things. Use a saw for certain things. Use masking tape for certain things. You got to use the tool for the right reason. Now, what the problem is, a lot of people, they see the tool and they say, wow, it would be great to have that tool. The problem is that's the only tool you got. As the saying goes, when all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. The problem is you need other tools to get other things done. So you can't file down your nails with a hammer. All right, that's all you got is a hammer. Now what? 80%, ladies and gentlemen. Does this woman, I'll give you an example. There was a movie by, was it Tyler Perry? Yeah, it was a Tyler Perry movie. Can somebody tell me what movie this was? I think the movie was called Why Did I Get Married? Did any of you see this movie by Tyler Perry? Why Did I Get Married? I think that was the movie. It was the movie where it was Tyler Perry and like 3 of his male friends, and they all had wives, and they all had like this family retreat. So the men would get together and have conversations. The women would get together and have conversations. Was that the movie? Why Did I Get Married? Was that the movie? I think that was the movie. So in that movie, one of the things that happened, it was one of the guys in the movie, he was dating Jill Scott. Jill Scott was one of the actresses in the movie, right? That was Jill Scott, right? So this guy dating Jill Scott. And Jill Scott has always been, as long as I've known about Jill Scott, she's always been overweight. We can just say Jill Scott is obese. It's fair to say. Jill Scott's pretty and she's a good singer, but she was obese. She was obese in the movie. She's obese. Last time I saw her, she was obese. So anyway, this guy has Jill Scott as his wife. And this man runs a business. So he has a personal assistant who works for him. And the personal assistant is a woman. And the personal assistant is not obese. She's very physically attractive. So the man is like, you could tell from the beginning of the movie that yes, he has his wife, but he kind of shuns his wife and he's showing more attention and more favor to his personal assistant, the skinny, pretty girl, than he is to his actual wife. And during the movie, you hear his wife say, I don't know if this guy loves me. I don't know if he even likes me. And she's feeling bad about herself because her husband is kind of disrespecting her openly because he's showing more attention to his personal assistant. Long story short, this man dumps his wife and he starts dating the personal assistant because the personal assistant is very physically attractive. This is what happens to a lot of you men, especially when you're young. Now, this shouldn't be happening once you're over the age of 30. If you're over 30 and this is happening to you, somebody didn't do their job of teaching you properly. So I'm trying to help you out. Okay. This guy looked like he was over 30. So he dumps Jill Scott. He starts dating the pretty woman. And later on in the movie, he's hanging with his married men friends. And they're like, how's it going with that? The assistant who you picked up when you dumped your wife. And he was like, well, yeah, she's physically attractive. However, she doesn't do anything. She doesn't cook. She doesn't clean. She don't do anything around the house. She don't do nothing. And this is the problem. This is the 80-20 principle, folks. This is the part that I want you to get. Gentlemen, this is the part you need to understand. Ladies, if you have sons, this is the thing they need to understand. The 80-20 principle. This woman who he went after, and they say it right there in the movie. This woman in the personal assistant, she provided the 20 that Jill Scott was not providing. So this guy had a wife and she was doing everything, cooking, cleaning, all the wife stuff. She was doing it, except this man was not physically attracted to his wife. He was not finding her physically attractive anymore. So she was providing 80%, but the 20% he wanted, she wasn't providing. So then he sees a woman who could provide the 20%, the sexual attraction that he wanted. So he dumped the 80 to go get the 20. He didn't realize what he was doing until it was too late. So now he got the 20. And then he's like, well, wait a minute. What about the 80? Here's the thing all you men need to understand. And women understand this as well. The most you're ever going to get out of anybody is 80%. The most you're going to get out of anyone, male or female, is 80%. You're not going to get 100% out of anyone. Now, you hear the stories. Some people say, well, hey, I wanted a relationship and I wrote a list down of all the things that I wanted and my ideal partner. And I found my current husband or my current wife and they provided 100% of what I want. Bullshit. You're lying. None of you who is in a relationship right now, the person you're with does not provide 100% of what you wanted. What actually happened is they provide 80% of what you want. And the 20% that they don't quite have or they don't have at all, you just made yourself okay with not having that 20%. That's what actually happened. None of you has a partner who provides 100% of what you want. Now, again, you can lie to the internet if you want, but the 80-20 principle is a real thing. Nobody has 100%. And here's the thing you need to understand, men. Men, understand this. And again, I'm speaking strictly to the men when I say this. The women, you can listen. It's like this. Any woman, and again, this is a theory from my personal experience, and any man in here can co-sign. The woman you meet who can be the, what's the way that I want to describe this? Woman you meet who can satisfy you in a sexual way, in such a way that you can tell that you ain't the first customer. You need to really think about how that came to be and if that's where you want to plant your flag. I would get too explicit if I said it any other way. I don't want to get too explicit here. I'm trying to keep it as PG as possible. The woman who can give you everything that you want sexually, you have to ask yourself, how did she come to have this ability? You didn't teach it to her. How'd she get it? Where'd she get it from? And are you okay planting your flag there? Are you okay planting your flag there? That's the question you got to ask yourself. Doesn't mean the woman you meet is going to be the Virgin Mary, but there's a space in between the two poles. Everybody understand what I'm saying here without me getting too deep into this? All right, this is the deal, folks. And if you meet a woman who's already doing some form of sexual, someone said, why not? You tell me. If you go have some experience with that, you tell me. We're going to get into as I get further into my points, you'll understand. First of all, if you meet a woman who's already doing some form of sex work, what we're supposed to be talking about here is sex work. I did a little diversion there just to give you some overall life stuff. The woman you meet is already doing sex work. She's doing OnlyFans or she's doing corn or she's doing anything explicit to make money. Understand that that's a lifestyle, not just a job. That's not a job. That's a lifestyle. That's not the kind of job you turn it on at 9 a.m. and you turn it off at 5 p.m. and it is completely separated. That's not the way that it works. And if you have an experience of it being like that, please speak up. I would love to hear about it. That's not a thing. That's a lifestyle. It is not a job. And if you go on YouTube these days and you can see documentaries and videos of people talking about this stuff. People who do sex work, whether it's a man talking about people he's known who did it, or a woman talking about the fact that she was actually in it. You should actually listen to those. Listen to women being interviewed talking about their past being in sex work, and go listen to the interviews and listen to a few of them. You're going to hear the same things over and over again. Number one, it's a lifestyle. You never hear any of them say, I could turn it on and turn it off. It's a lifestyle. You are in that world, because when you're in that world, who are you hanging with? Other people who are in that world. All right, you're in that world. I've known girls who were working with, I guess we can call them pimps. They actually call them pimps, that they have pimps. When you're in that world, you're in it. And the only way you can get to the outside world and deal with someone who's not in that world is you got to be out of that world. You can't be in that world and dipping your toes in other worlds. It doesn't work that way. And I've known men who are pimps, and I see how the girls are that they're with when they're with them. And I won't even get into detail with that. But anyway, that's a lifestyle. It's not a job. Understand that. That's not something I get to my office and I do my work. Then when I leave the office, I forget about work till tomorrow at 9 a.m. No. Not that life. Everybody understand? You can't turn that off. So men, she can't turn that off. That's the world she's in. So if you ain't in that world, you probably don't want to do this. Y'all remember the movie The Players Club with, what was that woman in The Players Club? The main actress, Lisa Ray. Remember The Players Club was Lisa Ray and Bernie Mac was the owner of. Lisa Ray was this woman working at a nightclub. Well, she first was going to school, but she wanted to make some money. So she goes and works at a strip club. Bernie Mac's the owner of the strip club. And at some point in the movie, she's dating this man, and the man finally starts to get mad at her, like, yo, when you going to stop working at that dumbass club? And this is what Lisa Ray says back to him. She says, well, was it a dumbass club when I met you there? That's the point that I want you to get. So this man is dating this girl who he met at the strip club. Then eventually he gets tired of her being at the strip club. And he says, why don't you stop working at the strip club? And she says, well, I met you at the strip club. What do you think it was? You thought this was something other than what it was? What was I doing when you met me? This is what you men need to ask yourself. What was she doing when you met her? When you first came across her, what was she doing? When you first came across her, what was she selling that you bought? And are you okay? Because she's not going to stop selling it because, hey, they are who they are. This is just the game, folks. And when I say the game, I'm talking about all the game. This is the game. And when a woman is a sex worker, this is what most men probably can't deal with. And I hear women talking about this, that a lot of men don't want to deal with, can't or don't want to deal with the fact that when a woman is a sex worker, she's getting attention from a lot of men all day, every day. Can you deal with that, being with a woman who is getting a whole bunch of attention from a whole bunch of men? And again, she's doing this as her job. It's not like she's just pretty and every time she goes to the grocery store, some man is trying to talk to her. That's one thing. It's a whole other thing when she's asking for the attention outwardly, to make her money. She's doing this as a career. So can you deal with a woman who is actively showing other men what she has in order to draw attention to herself? Do you want to deal with that? Ask yourself that question. These are women who they trade on male validation. That's their currency, is male validation. A woman who's in sex work, she makes her money by being validated by men through their attention and eventually their money. A woman's on OnlyFans. Only way she can make money is, first of all, she got to get a bunch of men's attention on the free platform, and then she got to get their money on the paid platform, which means all day, every day, she is courting attention from other men, and she's allegedly your girlfriend or wife. Can you live that type of lifestyle? Do you want to live that way? Most men, I think the answer is no, you don't. Now, again, when your reproductive brain is speaking, you might say, well, I don't care. I'll deal with it just so I can get that. Again, I just told you, use tools for what they need to be used for. Not every tool needs to be kept off the shelf. You take it off the shelf, you use it, you put it back on the shelf. That's how you men need to learn how to operate. And every tool ain't the same. Every woman is not the same. There are wives, there are girlfriends, there are weekend girls. And you need to put women into their proper categories. Let me say that again. There are wives, there are girlfriends, there are weekend girls. There are one night and never talk to again, and she's okay with it. There are possible long-term relationship material, and then there's lifetime material. You need to know which is which. In my experience, a woman is pretty much what she is in her early 20s, and she ain't changing. Doesn't mean she can't be miscast in the wrong role, if you get what I'm saying. But she is who she is. You want an example? Kanye West. Who'd he marry? Everybody knows who he married. Now, who was that woman when we all heard of her? When we all first heard of that woman, who was she? She had made herself into, all due respect, she made herself into a weekend girl. That's what she made herself into. She decided to play the game of being a weekend girl. She made herself very popular through what? We know what she made herself popular through. And we saw a sex tape, and he took her from a weekend girl to a wife. That's his mistake. If I met Kanye West, I'd tell him that. Like, hey, if he asked me, let's say if that became part of the conversation, I would say that to him. You turned a weekend girl into a wife. What do you think was going to happen? And listen, you could be miscast, and it looked good for a while. What, they had a bunch of kids, had a relationship. Everybody was all excited because two famous people are together and all of that. Well, how'd it turn out? What do you hear him saying now about that woman? What do you hear him saying about that woman now? I can't get access to my kids. I can't see my kids. Why don't somebody help me get my kids? And this guy is allegedly a billionaire with all this power. He can't even see his own kids. And the reason why he's in that situation, I always put the onus on the man. Even if you think the woman was wrong, the man is the leader. It was deemed in from the maker that the man is the leader and the woman is the support system to the man. So if something goes wrong between a woman and a man, I'm always looking at the man. What did you do wrong here? You did something wrong. You read the room incorrectly. You took a weekend girl, turned her into a wife. You did something that caused this situation. You went and had unprotected sex with a woman you shouldn't have unprotected sex with. Now you got a kid, and now she's asking for child support, and now you got to deal with it. You did something, all right? Because again, we all know how the power outlets work. So you look at this phone here. You see this little place here where you charge the phone. This is called the female receiver. All right, this is the female receiver. Here's the male side of it. The male side looks like this. The female side looks like this. The male must insert into the female. The female doesn't insert into the male. The male inserts into the female, which means the male has to make the decision, do I want to go in here or do I not? So Kanye West, I got to hold you responsible for that. Right? You did that. You inserted. Now, she allowed you in, but you decided to go in. You didn't have to. You didn't have to go in the way that you did. You could have covered yourself up. Now you're in the situation you're in. And someone said female sometimes inserts into the male. Not in my world. Not in my world. I get what you're saying there, but no. That's funny. But anyway, Kanye West, I would say that to him. I would say that to any man who's in a situation with a woman where the woman you feel has caused problems, well, who chose the woman? You did. As Kevin Samuels used to say, women control access to sex, men control access to relationships. If there's going to be sex, the woman decides that there's going to be sex. If there's going to be a relationship, the man decides there's going to be a relationship. It's kind of like, I was thinking about this morning when I was formulating what we're going to talk about here today. When you're a man, and a lot of men like to go around and say, yeah, I had that, like I had this woman, and things like that. I want y'all to understand that the woman's having you the same way you're having him. The same way you had her, she had you. And I'm using the word had for lack of another term that I would use, but I'm trying to not be so explicit. The same way you did her, she did you. And let me explain to you how the woman is doing you more than you're doing her. So let's say you're a man, right? And this is a situation, any of you went to college, maybe you had this experience. So you're on your phone and you're texting like 3 or 4 different girls at the same time. It was a Friday night. So you're trying to find some engagement for the night. So you're texting 3 to 4 different women and you're trying to see, hey, what you doing, what you up to, what you doing tonight, or what are your plans? You're trying to find one that is open to you coming to visit, and you're texting 4 different ones. Let me ask you a question. Which one do you end up spending the night with? I'm asking this on a very logical level. Which woman do you end up spending the night with? If you think about it, here it is. The woman you end up spending the night with is the woman who decides that she wants you to come over. Because if woman number 1, number 2, and number 3 all say, I got plans, I'm busy, or they don't respond to your text, you can't do anything with them. The one who you get to spend the night with is the one who decides that she wants you to come over. So she is controlling the situation more than you're controlling the situation. All you're doing is putting out feelers, just looking to see who responds. And if none of them respond, guess what you're doing tonight? Nothing. So the woman is controlling it more than you're controlling it. But a lot of men, after the situation, they say, well, I had her. Actually, no, you didn't. You got invited to her. She had you. Because what if she got 3 different men texting her? Which one is going to spend the night there? Assuming she's only picking one. The one who she decides to respond to. Doesn't that make sense? The woman's controlling the situation. You're making yourself eligible. You're raising your hand, but she gets to pick somebody. It's kind of like in school. Teacher asks a question, a bunch of kids raise their hand. Teacher picks the student who gets to answer the question. So when you are, yes, the woman's the gatekeeper when it comes to sex. The man is the gatekeeper when it comes to relationships. So if you take a woman who gave you access to sex and then you make a relationship out of that woman, you need to vet the woman you're having a relationship with or you're going to get in a relationship with. And again, this applies to a lot of men. A lot of men end up in family court. A lot of men end up with situations where they can't get access to their kids. And there's a lot of animosity between the man and the woman, and there's a child involved. I always put that on the man, even if the woman is legitimately crazy, even if the woman is legitimately has problems. The woman legitimately is doing things to block you from having access to your son or your daughter, even if she really is, and you can prove it. My question always to you is, how did you not see this from the beginning? Why did you have unprotected sex with her? She's crazy. How did you not know she was crazy? Did she just become crazy randomly? I don't think so. She was already crazy. You just didn't notice it because you were so attracted to the peach. That's your fault. That's your mistake as a man. Man must have very strong levels of discernment. What does discernment mean? It means being able to see things for what they actually are, not as what they present themselves to be. This is why when you get on these devices up here and you see these women showing you one thing, you need to look beneath the surface. You ever see that commercial with the Carfax and it says, show me the Carfax? Like, before I buy this used car, show me the Carfax. All right, has this car been flooded? Is this car truly damaged? Does it have a salvage title? Show me the Carfax. All right, all you men, next time you look at a woman on the internet and you're thinking about taking a step forward, ask yourself the question, show me the Carfax. Show me the Carfax. If you ain't seen the Carfax, all right, do not believe presentations. As I've told you all many times when it comes to the internet, believe half of what you see and none of what you hear. Believe half of what you see and none of what you hear. Show me the Carfax. That's what you got to do. Show me the Carfax. When you are dating a woman who's doing any type of sex work, you're not just dating her. You are dating her public brand, you're dating her fans, and you're dating any kind of drama that comes with it. And you'll hear women say this. This applies to women who are not just sex workers, but a woman who's just famous. If you're dating a famous woman, understand that she's going to get a lot of attention. She gets male attention if she's physically attractive. She don't even have to be that attractive. She's going to get male attention just because she's famous. And you're dealing with all of that. You got to deal with all of that. And I hear women who are known say things like, well, hey, I date men and they'll get insecure about my career, or insecure because I'm an actress, or insecure because I put up no pretty pictures and men respond to my pictures and they can't deal with that. And that is a real thing. You got to think about that, man. You're going to get in a relationship with a woman. How is she putting herself out there publicly? Is she putting herself out there publicly? Is she still on Instagram posting pictures to get attention? Is she still posting thirst traps after she's dating you? Are you all right with that? If she was posting thirst traps when you met her, guess what? She's probably going to keep doing it. Maybe you could be in the thirst trap, but she's still posting the thirst trap. Woman posts a thirst trap. That means she's looking for male attention. Do you want your girlfriend or your wife posting pictures like that, courting attention from men when she's already with you? Guaranteed she's getting DMs from men. Any woman who's posting and showing off her body on the internet is getting male attention privately that you don't know about. Are you okay with that? And what I'm saying here is that not that you need to go to a woman and lay down the law and say, hey, don't post pictures like that anymore if you're going to date me. That might not work. It might, but it might not. What I say is that if you meet a woman, she's already doing that, you should assume she's going to keep doing it. That's what I would say. You meet a woman, however she is when you meet her, that's pretty much what she's going to keep doing. Number one indicator of future performance is past performance. Doesn't mean a person can't change. I said number one indicator of future performance is past performance. It's the reason why people ask for your references when you apply for a job. What have you done in the past? That's what we're anticipating you're going to do in the future. That's it. So the line between business and personal gets very blurry when a woman's in the intimacy space. From what I understand about OnlyFans, I am not a customer nor am I a publisher. But from what I understand about OnlyFans is that, or the cam business, the webcam business, is that the woman will have quote unquote relationships with, or the men feel like they have a relationship with the woman. That's the reason why they keep paying, right? For the private chat or the private videos or text messaging or anything like that. The woman has to keep up the view of it being a relationship. Maybe somebody else is doing it for her, but the woman has to keep that up. And the man at least believes there's a relationship there. And listen, you never know. Some of these men can get crazy. All right. Most of the time when I hear about stalking, it ain't a man. It's not a woman stalking a man. It's a man stalking a woman. And usually if a man's stalking a woman, usually it has something to do with some type of sexual attraction for whatever reason, wherever it came from. So if a woman tells you, well, it's just work, me doing what I'm doing. Well, emotional detachment from sex is not natural long term, especially if a woman's doing actual sex. One thing if she's selling sex, but not actually doing it. If she's doing it, she's doing corn. You better be very careful. Now, if a woman's income, we touched on this, is based on making sure she's desirable to strangers, she may always have one foot in the market unless you can somehow, some way get her out of the business. You want to pull her completely out of the business, or she was doing sex work before, you say, I'll provide for your lifestyle. Whatever you were making on OnlyFans, I'll provide that financially. You don't have to do that anymore. All right, that's fine. All right, let's say that she agrees to that and she decides to get out. I would just tell you, look at the Carfax, study the Carfax before you make a final decision about doing that, because there's an old saying, you cannot turn a hoe into a housewife. I'll just leave that one there and you decide what to do with it. I just told you, you got categories. You got wives, you got girlfriends, and you have weekend girls. So if you met her as a weekend girl, you're going to turn her into a wife. Again, are you a magician? Are you David Blaine? You Harry Houdini? Are you going to do that? All right, if you do it, cool. All right, if you can pull it off, I will clap for you. But can you show me some examples of people who've, well, there are some that, at least according to what we see on TV, I shouldn't even ask the question, can you show me examples? Because we don't really know what's going on in a relationship until or unless it goes bad. You don't really know. Who knows what was happening with Kanye and Kim Kardashian? We don't know what was happening the whole time. We only knew when it went bad because that's when they started talking about it. But when it was, who knows what was happening before? It might have been bad then. They just weren't talking about it. And then they put it out. But I would be very careful to gauge off of stuff you see on TV, because on TV, especially people who are famous, and they were famous before they got together, is that their job is to have a brand and an image, and they have to keep up appearances. So somebody could be falling apart on the inside, but every time the cameras come on, everything looks perfect. All right, that's part of the job. So I wouldn't go off of famous people. Famous people are not the best gauge. I'm using that as an example here, but they're not the best gauge of, well, look at them. They're happy. They got a good relationship. Well, how do you know? Just because you saw it on Instagram, that doesn't count. Think of someone who you actually know in real life. Did it work out that way? Usually they don't. So trust becomes complicated when, again, everybody's seeing what's supposed to be yours. As a man, you meet a woman, she's showing her body off on the internet and selling herself in that way. Now, everything that you see in the bedroom behind closed doors, well, everybody else already seen it. Are you okay with that? I'm not saying you're right or wrong. I'm just asking, are you okay with it? Are you okay with everything you get to see? Everybody else already seen it too. Are you all right with that? And she, in my experience, a woman who's operating in this world may say that they want a traditional man. Hey, this is my work. Eventually, I'm going to get out of this work. Eventually, she ages out of the work, whether she wants to get out of it or not. Eventually, a woman ages out of the work, because there's a new 19-year-old on the scene now, and you ain't the hot girl anymore. You're 30. Now you got to move on. Now she's ready to settle down with a man who's ready to be more traditional. And there will be men who will buy. I'm just saying you better be careful if it's going to be you. I'm not saying this woman's not going to find somebody. She'll find someone. There's somebody for everybody. All right, you have enough life experience. You'll see somebody and you're like, well, that person's never going to find anyone. And before you know it, boom, there they are. All right, there's somebody for everybody. All right, there's a buyer for every product. Every product on the market, there is a customer. All right, guaranteed. And she may say that she wants a traditional man, but she's operating from a non-traditional world. Are you all right with that? And there are videos. I can find these on YouTube. I've seen a couple of them and listened to a couple of them where there'll be these men who have money and they have financial status and they're older and they're just looking for a woman who will be a woman who's relatively younger, significantly younger, and she has some level of physical attraction, and she's looking for somebody with some money. She don't have money. He doesn't have the woman, and he gets the money. He's basically buying the woman. And the women are completely okay with it. They know they're being bought, and they're completely all right with it. All right, yeah, you're buying me. You buy me. All right, this is how much I get for being your wife, and I'll be on your arm, and this, that, and the third. And if you pass away, this is how much I'm getting. It's all in the prenup. It's all in the paperwork, and they're completely okay with it. There's a whole industry for this. And does a man really care what she was doing when she was, let's say she's 38 when he meets her, he's 65. Does he really care what she was doing between ages 20 and 30? Not really. As long as she can provide what he needs, which is he needs to go to this corporate dinner. He wants to have a pretty girl on his arm, and she's pretty, and she's willing to go along with the deal, then that's a deal. I ain't knocking it. There's a buyer for everything, folks. I just told you. There is a buyer for every product. My question to you is, are you okay being the buyer? All right, check the Carfax. Show me the Carfax. All right, that's the game, folks. There was a TV show back then called Millionaire Matchmaker. You ever seen that show? It was a while ago. This is probably like 2008, 2009. And it was this woman. She would get a whole bunch of pretty girls. She knew a whole bunch of pretty girls who were interested in meeting a rich man. And then she would get all these rich men who, for whatever reason, they weren't able to find a woman on their own, or maybe they're too busy, they're too career focused, they can't put time into a relationship, and they wanted to find a girl who was okay with not getting all the man's time, but she was pretty enough that the man could look good having her on his arm, and he put them together. She called them mixers. So he'd bring like a couple of the rich men, like 2 or 3 rich men, and then be like 30 of these pretty girls, and they would all try to impress the man. And at the end of the day, the matchmaker would come up to the man and say, "All right, which one of these women do you like?" And he would say, "I like her and her," or he would say, "I don't like none of them. Go get me some more." And they would pay the woman they were paying the woman for the access to these girls because it allowed them to shortcut the relationship building process. For another example here that y'all may not know about, someone said Bill Belichick. Yeah, he's a good example. I don't know where he met that girl, but yeah, that's one right there. Kobe Bryant. A lot of people don't know this. If you read the books about Kobe Bryant, his wife, the woman he ended up marrying, who became his widow, he was so career focused. This is in the books about Kobe. He was so career focused that he didn't have time to build a relationship, and he knew he didn't, and he wasn't going to give time to build a relationship. So he was looking for a woman who he could kind of fast track the relationship process with. That's how he ended up, and then he ended up meeting the woman who became his wife. And she was willing to fast track it with him because he was already in the NBA and he was becoming a star. And she was like, I believe she was in high school when they met, Kobe and his wife, because he's a few years older than her. And this is where, for those of you who know the Kobe Bryant background, is that he started to have a strong rift with his family, his mom and his dad and his sisters, because Kobe has, I believe, 2 sisters, that there was a rift between Kobe and his family when he met that girl who became his wife, because his family was like, yo, you're about to put everything into this woman who you don't really know that well, because he didn't go through the courting process. You know how some people could be together for like 5-6 years before they get married? He didn't do that. This happened pretty quick, what happened with Kobe and his wife. And his parents were like, yo, you better get a prenup. You can't just sign up for half with that woman. He didn't get the prenup. And his parents were so mad about it, and they kept telling him. Eventually, he cut off his parents and put everything with his wife. So this is the reason why when Kobe passed away, you remember they had that big event for Kobe at the arena in LA. I think they call it the Crypto.com arena now, but I call it the Staples Center. When they had that event for Kobe when he passed, Shaquille O'Neal spoke, Michael Jordan spoke, his wife spoke, all these people spoke. His parents were there. They didn't even talk. His parents didn't even get to speak because he was estranged from his parents for the rest of his life. And for that reason, he was estranged from his parents because his parents were like, because at that point, Kobe had been helping his parents out financially. And then when he got with the woman, he kind of cut off his parents and dealt with the woman. And they were like, yo, you want to cut us off for the parents? Cut us off for the girl. And that's exactly what he did. And according to reports, I'm not reporting this, but according to reports, Kobe's not ex-wife, but his widow, his wife, won't give any money to Kobe's mom and dad, even to this day. Kobe been passed away for 6 years? Because there was such a strong rift that they didn't like her because of what Kobe decided to do, and she didn't like them back. And now she got all that money that was left from Kobe, and they don't get none of it. I'm bringing all that up to say, if you go with this, you better make the proper arrangements as a man, especially you're the one with the resources. You're going to take a woman out of that world, you better have resources, because she's like, well, if I'm going to leave this, can you replace what I'm leaving on the table? And also, do you know if she's going to come back to it? When your job is to turn on other men as a woman, your job is to turn on men sexually, then you got to deal with, or the man has to deal with, okay, do you get jealous or insecure when your woman is showing herself off for other men's attention? Again, we touched on this earlier. And I'm going to take questions and comments at the end, by the way. Sex work can attract unstable people, stalkers, fans, obsessive followers. Those come into your life too. So you're out at dinner with your girl who does sex work, and she got a bunch of fans of men. They're men who look at her pictures and follow her and like all her photos and leave her comments and send her DMs. Now you're out at dinner and some fan notices your girl and y'all sitting at dinner together. He comes up to the table to say hi to the girl. Are you all right with that? How would you deal with that? All things you got to consider. You may feel that you have to accept things that go against your values as a man, You don't want your woman doing this, this, and this. You don't want her dressing a certain way. You don't want her putting herself out there a certain way. But if you start saying these things, now it seems like you're insecure, you're controlling, you're jealous. All right, you knew who I was when you met me. Again, check the Carfax, ladies and gentlemen. Check the Carfax. This is why I'm telling you this over and over again. Do you want to pay your peace, your privacy, and your reputation in order to get a short-term thrill? This is what I tell men all the time. Be very, very careful. The short-term thrill, again, is your 20%. It can give you the 20% that you're looking for and that you biologically need. However, what about the 80%? The 80% is what you're going to need long-term. The 20% is what you want right now. And again, there's nothing wrong with needing the 20%. We all want and need the 100 on some level. What I tell men is this. Y'all want to know how we solve the 80-20 riddle. And I got a video on YouTube that I made probably 10 years ago where I said exactly what I'm about to tell you right now. As a man, when you're relatively young, whatever age you consider to be young, you go out and you do your thing. Do your thing as much as you want to do. Instagram, OnlyFans. I'm not saying go invest in these things. I'm saying the girls you meet on Instagram, OnlyFans, at the club, at the bar, showing off their body, the ass models, do everything you want to do, go do it. Do as much as you want. Protect yourself at all times. Same thing they say in the boxing ring. Protect yourself at all times so you have no transmissions of diseases and you have no unwanted children. Protect yourself at all times. Do everything you want to do. Okay? Enjoy yourself. Get it all out of your system so that by the time you meet the woman who is wife material, you are not still looking around like, damn, maybe I could do this, this, this. See, if you did enough of it, then you can relax and settle down into a different life when you meet the woman who could be the wife. That's the formula for doing this. Unfortunately, what happens with a lot of men, especially in the world that we're in today, where a lot of you are kind of getting your rocks off through looking at a phone rather than actual real life engagement, is that many men are kind of getting this experience so much later in life that in the time period when you're supposed to be getting to the wife lifestyle, you're still trying to live the bachelor lifestyle. The age has been pushed further forward. When it used to be you did that in your 20s, now, and some people do it even earlier, or some just go straight to marriage. They don't do any of that. But it used to be you did that generally in your 20s, maybe early part of your 30s. And then by the time you were in your late 30s, going into your 40s, you're ready to chill because you did everything you needed to do. Now men are just getting around to doing what they want to do, and you're 36. You are starting late. So you're pushing your time back. And it doesn't make you wrong that you do it. The problem with starting late is that means later to find the right person, later to have kids, and you ain't got that much time. It's not like your time is unlimited. All right, let's say you only got till you're 80. So now you just push the clock further back to do all the things you want to do. So if you want to build a family, you need to consider how your past or her past will affect your kids or public perception. I mean, what does Kim Kardashian tell her kids when they get old enough to use a phone, which I'm sure they probably already do, and they see mom on video looking at the camera? So it ain't like she didn't know she was being filmed. On video, looking at the camera, doing things with a man who ain't daddy. What does she tell them? I'm sure she got to tell them something, but what does she say? Can anybody answer that question? What's she say? Here you are on camera with a man who's not daddy, and obviously you see the camera, you're looking at the camera, you're performing for the camera. Who's this guy, mommy? Why'd you do this, mommy? Should I do that, mommy? And what about her sons? I can see the daughters will say that. What does the son say? What do you say? What if her son becomes a basketball player or a football player, and he's playing a basketball game in college, and they're playing a road game, and the fans of the other team want to distract him? So when he's at the free throw line shooting a free throw, somebody holds up a photo of mommy having sex with another man on camera. All right, well, how's he supposed to respond to that? Now, he can ignore it during the game, but what do you do when people are putting that in your face? Because it is your mom. It's obviously your mom. Everybody knows your mom. This is what she was doing, and that ain't your dad. What does she tell her son about that? What does Kanye tell his son about that? I mean, he had a baby with her. All right, he knew about the tape, right? Didn't Kanye know about the tape when he decided to get married to this woman? What do you do? What do you tell your kids about that? That's a question you got to answer. So, men, you got to think about your future, not just your feelings. Okay? You got to think about your future, not just your feelings. Long term, what does this look like? Long term, what is this going to be? I understand what you're going to get in the short term. Trust me. Every man understands what you get in the short term. All right. If you're a heterosexual man, you can look on the internet and you know exactly what you're going to get in the short term. I understand why it draws your attention. The reason why so much of it is because it draws attention. If it wasn't working, people wouldn't be doing it. If there was no demand, there'd be no supply. First law of economics. However, what's the cost? Third law of economics is trade-offs. Everything has a trade-off. The woman who you meet who can give you the most incredible, whatever you want in the bedroom, she can give you the most incredible that you ever had in your life. Sure. Now, ask yourself, who taught her that? It wasn't you? Okay, who taught her that? And can she turn it off and just do it for you, whereas opposed to having done it for so many others before you? All questions that must be answered. You cannot ignore these questions. This is all part of showing you the Carfax. Okay? You got to find the Carfax, folks. If you have not seen the Carfax, you got to get the Carfax before you do something dumb. Now, all this, folks, I want to take questions and comments. I need to go to the restroom real quick. Give me 90 seconds. Let me run to the restroom. I'll let you all. Actually, during this 90 seconds, I'm going to play Shannon Sharpe's. Those of y'all didn't hear Shannon Sharpe, I'm going to play Shannon Sharpe's statement he put out the other day. I'm going to put it at 1x speed. I usually listen to videos on 2x. I'm going to put it at 1x so all y'all can hear what Shannon Sharpe said, because that's what framed this conversation here today. Is 1 minute and 9 seconds. I'm going to run to the restroom. And what's the next video? All right, I'll be right back.
This is a shakedown. I'm going to be open, transparent, and defend myself because this isn't right. This is all being orchestrated by Tony Busby, who has targeted Jay-Z. Tony Busby targets black men, and I believe he's going to release a 30-second clip of a sex tape that tries to make me look guilty and play into every stereotype you could possibly imagine. That video should actually be 10 minutes or so. Hey, Tony, instead of releasing your edit, put the whole video out. I don't have it, or I would myself. You know what happened, and you're trying to manipulate the media. The encounter in question took place during the day at her invitation, and now that appears to be a deliberate setup, coordinated by Gabby, also known as Carlin on OnlyFans. Gabby and Tony Busby want $50 million. What they're getting is sued for defamation and trying to take me down. My career is all about real talk and honesty. I know my family and fans know exactly what this is about, and I'm going to be out there telling you whatever I need to say, just like I always do. I love all you guys.
It's all about focus. I don't care who you are, where you're from, doesn't matter. You just having a focus and having a purpose. You wake up every single day to give to my family.
So funny, a Kobe video came up right after that. So all that being said, folks, let's start over here on Rumble and YouTube. Then we'll go over to Instagram. Then we'll come to TikTok. We're in the comments right now. Shout out to my moderators who are in here. Once I get over to TikTok, y'all can start pinning comments because I guarantee we're not going to get through all these comments here today, but I'll get through as many as I can. Cynthia, good morning. Tay, good morning. Ruda said, I'm new from Rwanda over on Rumble. Shout out to Rwanda. Miss Ann Beachshore said, you should knock it. That sounds disgusting. Did I say that? I don't think I said that. Jalen said, this sounds so complicated. I'm glad I avoid online dating, LOL. Well, there's nothing wrong with online dating. There's nothing wrong with online dating because you can access people who you otherwise, you wouldn't run into them in the grocery store, but you met them online, but y'all happen to live in the same town. There's nothing wrong with that. MSN said 5-6 years, you're not thinking about marriage after a year, you're just dating for fun. Some say. Some do believe that. O-Dog said, Vanessa seems like an unauthentic woman. She didn't seem heartbroken during that memorial. Okay, some people did say that. I mean, not everybody processes emotions the same way, but I understand that. O-Dog said, Kobe's father has passed. She should take care of Kobe's mother. His father passed? I didn't know that. When did he pass? J Mill 5000 is in the house. O-Dog said, Larsa Pippen. That's a bitch. Yeah. So, again, that's why y'all got to be careful what y'all see on TV. All right. Do not believe TV. When I say TV, I mean the internet, too. Be careful what you see on TV. Brandon, good morning. Brandy, good morning on Instagram. Hawaii 1902. Thank you. Peter said, do you agree with the statement that a girl can get a boyfriend easier than a boy can get a girlfriend? Hell yeah. Yes. Women control access to sex. And a boyfriend just means a guy who will stay with the girl, and a girl can just use her physical appeal to get a man to commit to her, especially when they're younger. And especially if the man is so sexually attracted to the woman. Absolutely. Now, a wife, husband is a whole different story. So, all right, now we are in the comments on TikTok. Moderators, you see anything good, just go ahead and pin it. I cannot see all the comments that y'all left while I was speaking, but I'm scrolling as high as I can, and then I'm working my way down. Vivian Cuban Philly, good morning. Thank you. Sab said, I don't know, boss. I made zero compromises, got 100%, but we are two women, so that's typical. Well, Sab, I have yet to meet a person who got 100%, but who's going to sit there and say, I mean, you're not going to say in front of your partner, hey, this person only gives me 80% of what I want. Are you going to say that in front of your woman? Would a woman say that in front of her man? I don't think so. I don't think anybody would actually say that to the face of their partner. Hey, you only give me 80%. The 20% you're not giving me is, you don't want to say that because that could lead to a whole lot of problems. What I'm telling all of you that is to just keep that in your head. All of you need to understand that. You should know, most of you probably know the 20% you didn't get, and it's okay because you appreciate the 80%. There's no situation in life that's going to give you 100% perfection. That's why the third law of economics is opportunity costs and trade-offs. There's no such thing as a perfect scenario. Everything has a trade-off. Tasha Bennett says, a lot of times you're not the first dollar. Yes, exactly. Most times you're not the first dollar. I know some men who went and found a woman for whom they were the first dollar. There's a trade-off to that too. So, hey, it's just a matter of which number dollar you okay being. That's really what it comes down to. J.R. Walker, good morning. Armando says she got skills, man, from practice. Yes, exactly, which is what I was alluding to. Trey Trav said, who taught the men? Taught them what? Who taught the men what? TikTok Time said, I used to date 3 or 4 of those girls at a time, so I really got 60 to 80%. I get what you're saying there. Not really. No, you didn't, because they're all providing the same 20%, TikTok Time. If you date 4 girls who are all providing the exact same 20%, that is still only 20%. It's 100% of what you need. They're giving you 20, 20, 20, 20, but this is the same 20 over and over again. It's like you have you got the same 3-legged stool without the 4th leg. Kim Work says, what do you think will happen in the Shannon Sharpe situation? Probably the case will either get pulled back or they'll settle out of court and we won't hear about it again. There's going to be looks like they're going to throw some mud at each other for a couple of days and then it's going to quietly go away. Neil Zander said, if you do provide 100%, they will make up new needs they didn't know they wanted until now. Generally, that's how it works if you provide 100%. But Neil Zander, I don't know if you're a man or a woman, but there's no person watching me right now who provides 100% to another person. Nobody does. Nobody provides 100%. If you're a man and you believe you can provide 100% to a woman, well, first of all, one of that 100% is that you provide resource-wise in such a way that she has everything taken care of financially. In order for you to do that, you probably need to be working a lot, which means you can't give her enough of the quality time. In my experience with women, she will take as much quality time as you're willing to give. As much quality time as you're willing to give is going to cut into your ability to work and focus on work, which cuts into your ability to produce money, which means you can't be giving 100% on both ends. It's impossible. That's my point. It's impossible to give 100% to any person, and nobody can provide 100% because none of us is perfect. Brightheart Jen says it's a lifestyle. That's correct. Michelle, technically, if you're getting paid, isn't it a job? Yes. It could be a job, profession, career. That's correct. The thing is, if that's what you're doing for a job, how do you turn that off? That kind of job is a lifestyle. So when I say it's a lifestyle, I don't mean that it's not also a job. It's a job and a lifestyle. It's kind of like there are other careers out there there are some careers, some of you work at jobs or careers where you can turn it on and turn it off. You can turn it on when you get to the office and you turn it off when you leave. But there are other careers that you cannot just turn it off. It becomes part of your lifestyle simply by the nature of the job. So for example, if you are a professional athlete, that's a lifestyle. Yes, it's a job. You get paid for it, but it's still a lifestyle that comes with it because you got to travel around to the games. You have all these people who know who you are. You got all these people who know your business. Your salary is posted on the internet. All that becomes part of your life. You can't just turn that off. It's not like on an off day, you go to the mall and nobody knows who you are. All right, the fact that you play for the local NBA team still matters even on the days that you're not at work. So that makes it a lifestyle. Something becomes a lifestyle when the things you do at work still apply and they still affect what you do when you're not at work. So let's say you're a insurance claims adjuster, from 9 to 5, Monday through Saturday. You adjust insurance claims. As soon as you leave the office, the fact that you adjusted insurance claims from 9 to 5 doesn't matter anymore. You can just completely turn it off. Nobody knows you from that. It's not like you're famous when you go to the local restaurant. Nothing about what happened at work is affecting what you're doing at home. Doesn't have to, at least. and you could just turn it off. And then when you get back to work, you turn it back on. That kind of job or career, you can turn it on and off. If you do sex work for a living, you can't just turn that off. There's a whole lifestyle that comes with it. You understand what I'm saying? It's like if you're a stripper, you can't just turn that off. Now, you don't have to announce that you're a stripper everywhere that you go, but the lifestyle affects what you're doing. I'll give you an example. I was in LA Fitness in Brickell, Miami. You ever see people doing those street interviews in Miami, that where they're doing those interviews, that's Brickell. So I'm in Brickell at the LA Fitness, and I was in there like 2 PM. There was some girl in there. She was a very attractive girl, black girl. I start talking to her, and it's 2 PM. So I'm wondering what the hell she's doing in the gym at 2 PM. I've never seen her before, and I'm in the gym all the time. I've never seen her before. I get to talking to her. Turns out she's a stripper. She used to work for a pimp. And we talked for a while, and I had a conversation with her. And the whole point being is that the lifestyle that she was living, there's no way you could just turn that off, because she did a whole lot of nightlife stuff. So by 2 PM, she probably just woke up at 12 o'clock. I wake up 4 AM. She probably just woke up at 12 o'clock and decided, let me go over to the gym. And again, you can't separate that lifestyle from the rest of your life. It bleeds in. There's no way you can hide it. That's what I mean when I say certain jobs become a lifestyle, whether you want them to or not. Armando said Dollar Bill. Yeah, Dollar Bill. Taja Bennett. Yeah, it was a good movie. Yeah, I remember that movie. I don't even watch movies anymore, but I did see that one. Daystar, thanks for the follow. Tiara said, I just want the money. Okay. Beth said, men trade as well to make money. Yes, that's correct. But I'm talking about men making decisions about women. That's what I'm talking about here today. TikTok time. Oh, Go Bird said, money is money, dog. What do you mean by that? You mean like a dollar made, no matter how you make it, is still a dollar? If that's what you're saying, then that's not true. But if you're saying something different, tell me. TikTok time says she uses men for what she needs. Yes. And what I'm saying is, I've also said this, some men are okay being used. If you're okay being used, play the game. But if you're not okay being used, then you better consider who you're talking to when you give that money up. Go Bird said, who are you to judge? Same person you are to judge. All human beings judge. Joyce said, it's a business trade. Yes, as long as you know it's a business trade, cool. What happens is some men get into these situations not knowing that it's a business trade, and then they realize when it's too late that this was just a business trade for them. Beth says, speak to the men to do this as well. But that's not the topic here today, Beth. I'm talking to the men to help them understand. I understand that it happens. I'm just saying that this is not about what men do. Ray Paul said, please don't bring Kim into this. She paid off his debt. We don't know that. I just told you, don't believe everything you hear and see on TV. We don't know. We don't know what really happened. All we know is what they told us. TV relationships are not good examples. I used him as an example for the point that I was making, but overall relationship, that's not a good example because we don't know what's really happening there. Anything you see on TV, believe half of what you see, none of what you hear. Go Bird said, Kanye ain't sitting in front of an IKEA bookshelf. You talking about me? This is not from IKEA. I talked about that months ago. This is not from IKEA. Beth said, what men don't use women this way? Well, I'm Skeet Apparel said, you're a very wise man. Thank you. King Truth said, the whole family that way. Well, it appears to be true, King Truth. That appears to be true. But again, it's on the internet, so you gotta be careful with the internet. People tell you what they want you to know. Israel said, the reason Kanye's in that situation is because he's insane. That might be one of the reasons. It might be. It's more than that, though. I mean, she chose him, too. Same way he chose her, she chose him. So why? Why did she choose him? Because she was with other men before him, and I believe she was married before she was famous, briefly to somebody who we don't know. But then she was with a bunch of other men, rumored. None of them made her his wife. Only he did. So what was that? And none of them got her to say yes to marriage. If they even tried, she said yes to him. So they both have a hand in it. But I always put it on the man because the man has access to relationships. Jen said he's the problem on the point. Bad example. Maybe. Again, I use them as an example because all you know who they are. That's why I use them. And because the point that I was making was what I was saying. Kanye doesn't have to put on a Men's Warehouse suit. You think this is from Men's Warehouse? That's funny. Anna, yes, I am. Married with kids. Yes. Traditional all day said Kanye running around bugged out. Well, Kanye been bugged out. I think he's been bugged out for a long time. Brightheart said, I wouldn't use Kanye to make any point. I would, because all you know what I'm talking about. It's a good example because all you know what I'm talking about. If I had to give an example that you don't know what I mean, it might be hard for you to understand it. But Weary Rule said that's a great analogy. Thank you. Cassie, thank you for the follow. So why don't some of y'all like the Kanye example? O'Leary said, we choose who we want to have kids with. Yes, that's correct. But some people are reckless out here. Again, some men are reckless and some women are reckless. If you're a man and you're having unprotected sex with a woman you don't want to have kids with, you are being reckless. I don't care what reason you give for it. That is reckless behavior. And I have some friends, personal friends of mine, who have done this. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Why are you having unprotected sex with that woman? You know you don't want to have a baby with her. What are you doing? Then she comes around claiming that she's pregnant. You got to go do a paternity test. Or you get a disease. I've known men who have both of these things happen by being sexually reckless and not protecting themselves. And as a man, if you have enough experience, you should have some stories of times when you had access to something and you didn't take it because you didn't have protection. If you are an actual disciplined man. I've had situations where I turned something down because I didn't have protection. I said, I don't trust this shit. I'm not doing this. And you got to have a discipline to walk away from that if you don't have protection. A few minutes of a good feeling is not worth whatever could possibly come if you end up losing that gamble, so to speak. Don said, have a relationship with God that'll cure your problems. Okay, fair enough. O'Leary said, yeah, she's the gatekeeper. That's correct. Muddy Mama said, I'll never understand why men fight over a woman who's got a different man in her bed every night. That's because sometimes men think with their reproductive brain rather than their rational brain. That's why. Biology is the reason why, Money Mama. Zachary, thank you for the follow. O'Leary said, you got to get to know a woman before you have kids with her. Well, yes. In a perfect world, that's exactly how it happens. But we see that it doesn't. We see men are out here reckless. There's a lot of men out here moving reckless. Shannon Sharpe, by the way, the guy who I was talking about at the start of this, he was moving sloppy. He's moving sloppy because he's pretty well known. If he goes somewhere, he lives in LA, allegedly. LA is a big city. There's a lot of people who are famous and known. I'm betting that that woman knew who he was when he saw her. When she saw him, I think she knew who he was. He should know that most women, when they see him, they know who he is, which means he should have got the Carfax on that chick. And whatever he was doing with her, he should have understood her character and what she was about before it could get to the point that she's filing a lawsuit and claiming assault. And now he has to defend himself. And now his reputation looks bad because of this. Even if he ends up winning and gets the case thrown out or whatever it is that happens, he's always going to have this on him that somebody can use against him. Hey, you got accused of this in 2025. You may not be that good of a guy. Even if the case gets thrown out, somebody can use that against him in the future just because they filed the suit, regardless of what happens with the suit. Just the accusation alone can ruin your reputation. So, and it's not like you can block it from happening. The thing is, as a man, you better be careful what kind of woman you're messing with, and you should be able to gauge if a woman is even capable of doing something like that before you decide to get involved with her. You got to be able to judge someone's character. You got to be able to read somebody. Discernment, folks. That's the reason why I use that word discernment. Is she the type of woman who would ever do this? And if so, or do you want to get engaged with that? For example, I'll give you another example. I'm not going to say names this time. Some of you may be able to guess the name, but I'm not going to say names. Down here in Miami, there's a basketball player. I'm not going to say who he is. I am saying he's in Miami. Basketball player in Miami. He had a relationship and subsequently a baby with a woman who I've seen around the neighborhood. Like downtown Brickell area of Miami. I've seen this woman around the neighborhood. I've seen her friends around the neighborhood. Here's what I'll tell you about this woman and her friends. If you're a heterosexual man and you saw this woman and her friends walking around the neighborhood, you would stop and you would look. All right, let's put it that way. And they design it that way. When I say they design it that way, they put on certain types of clothing and they go around certain places at certain times of day, knowing that it's going to draw attention. And there's a group of them. They got a little cohort, these women. I seen them around the neighborhood and they see me. And I could tell by the way that some of them, not all of them, but some of them was looking back at me that they're looking at me as a target. Like, all right, yeah, him right there. So anyway, this basketball player, not me, this basketball player, he ends up getting a relationship with this girl because this girl is she's an attention drawing girl. If you saw her, all of you would look. You're a heterosexual man, you would look. You're a woman, you would look. Okay? Attractive woman. He gets in a relationship, has unprotected sex with the woman. Woman gets pregnant. Now, I read a story that this guy, basketball player, he's significantly by several years younger than the woman. The woman's older than him, this guy. His family, from what I read, his family was unhappy with the situation. His parents were like, hey, this guy's young. He doesn't need to be doing that, having a child. He doesn't need to be doing these things. He needs to focus on his career. And if you're going to do that, do it with someone who you actually want to be with, not just a girl who she trapped him. He didn't trap her. She trapped him. She trapped him. And how do I know she trapped him? Because I see how her and her friends move about. I said, oh, these bitches not just walking around randomly. This is a planned, coordinated strategy that they're operating here. This is a coordinated process that they do. They just happen to see me. It wasn't because of me. When I say they were looking at me and I could see the way they were looking at me, it's not because I'm just this perfect specimen. I think I look pretty good, but it's not because I'm this perfect specimen. If it wasn't me, it might have been you. If you were sitting where I was sitting at the same time, they would have been looking at you maybe the same way they're looking at me. I just happened to be the guy who was there at that moment. And when I say that moment, I live in a neighborhood. They live in a neighborhood. I see these women all the time. And they trapped this guy. They end up having a baby. Several months later, I don't follow this kind of stuff, but several months later, it was trending on social media that this woman was like basically putting up this post that women do when they end up breaking up with a man. And they're basically claiming that this man was not a good guy and he was infidelity and he was cheating on me and he was abusive and he was a bad guy. I got to protect my peace and protect my harmony and protect my spirit. Y'all know this kind of shit that women say when they're breaking up with a man and they're trying to justify it and all this flowery female shit that she said. She was saying that and is basically letting the world know that she broke up with this guy, but they still got a baby. That kind of shit happens in big cities all the time. LA, New York, Miami, Vegas, Houston, Atlanta. This kind of stuff happens all the time. And there are women who go around, and here's the reason I brought all this up. That woman and her cohort of female friends, they are all trying to do exactly what she did. She just happened to do it successfully. She was successful. What she did, she found a guy who's publicly noted for his success, publicly noted for his finances, got with him, lured him in with sexual attraction. And I understand why he was lured in with sexual attraction. What I don't get is why he had unprotected sex with the woman. That's his mistake. And if I was talking to him, you messed up by having unprotected sex with her. You had protected sex. You could have got in and got out. Just like in boxing. And boxing is stick and move. You get in, throw your punches, then you get out of range so they can't hit you back. He got in and stayed in, and now you got a baby. Now you're not with her no more. Now you got to pay child support for the next 18 years. You messed up. And her friends, they want to do the same thing. They just got to find a man who's willing to fall for it. This is all the hustle. And I know many, I could tell you other stories. Now I'm thinking about it. I could tell you other stories of women who did this exact same thing. I know women who have babies. I gotta be careful how I say this. I know women who have babies by multiple men who are known for, or it is at least, you can tell that they have their financial situation together. I know women who have babies by multiple men like that. So she basically have multiple annuities. All right, every month, he owe money, he owe money. Every month I'm getting a check from both of them. She ain't got to do nothing. And guess what she does for a living? Nothing. Why? Because she found two men dumb enough to fall for it. And again, I'm not saying don't go after if you want the sex, get the sex. Get in, get out. In boxing, hit and don't get hit. Y'all understand what I'm saying here? Well, a lot of men are doing, they going in and hitting it, but then they're getting hit back. Like, yo, you can't take punishment. You go give the punishment, you don't take it back. Everybody follow my metaphor here? Hopefully I'm not going over anybody's head. So anyway. TikTok time said, I used to date a girl who lived 3 hours from me, but it was the strongest relationship. All right, great. What happened to her? O'Leary, I appreciate it. Coach Landa says, as long as we both bring our Carfax to the desk, let's go. Fair enough, Coach Landa. I'm not saying that the man doesn't need to bring Carfax. I want all y'all to understand my frame here today. The topic here today was directed at the men. I know women are listening, but what I said here today was directed at the men. Okay, it was not directed at women. It was directed at men because I'm a man. So I'm speaking from the perspective of a man and the perspective of men being reckless out here. Shannon Sharpe, I brought all that up to say, Shannon Sharpe should have understood this girl is 19. All right, she's not with you because she sees you as a lifelong partner. You got, 30 years on the chick? So you got 30-something years on this chick. You 50-something, she's 20-something. You got 30 years on her. Why is she interested in you? Is it because she just wanted some DICK? She'd get that from anybody. All right, she's on social media. She's on OnlyFans. You know how many men are offering her that? She didn't need it from you. She got it from anybody. This is the way y'all got to think. All right, men, you got to learn to put yourself in the shoes of these women you're seeing. She could get that from anybody. She wouldn't go after Shannon because he was just so amazing. She went after him because he's a known commodity. It is known that he probably makes a good amount of money. And she was looking for, hey, how can I get some of this myself? Her first plan was probably, let me see if I can get pregnant with him. I guess that didn't work. And she said it in the text message. I want a black baby from you. She was literally saying it, I guess, joking. I want a black baby. She wasn't joking. She wanted that black baby. A lot of truth is said in jest. I guess she wasn't successful doing that. Shannon was at least that smart. But then when I guess the relationship didn't work out, now she's claiming that she's going to go the lawsuit route. Okay, I couldn't go the baby route. Let me go the lawsuit route. So the first is the marriage route, then is the baby route, then is the lawsuit route. So they got 3 bullets to shoot at you. Baby, or marriage, baby, lawsuit. Whichever one works. Shannon Sharpe should have known better. You should have read that in her as soon as you met her. Why is she looking at you, Shannon? She's on OnlyFans, so she's probably walking around with her ass out all the time. Every man she walks past would offer her whatever she wants. Well, not whatever she wants, but sexually, every man she walks past, if she stopped him and said, hey, you interested? Every man would say yes. It wasn't you. I remember there used to be this group back in the day, R&B group called Belle Biv DeVoe. You remember Belle Biv DeVoe? They had a song called I Thought It Was Me. Y'all remember that song? Now, I'm really dating myself by bringing this up. Remember that song, I Thought It Was Me by Belle Biv DeVoe? Shannon Sharpe thought it was him. It wasn't you, bro. It wasn't you. It could have been anybody. If I had walked in there, it would have been me. If you had walked in there, it would have been you. Whoever it is not you. Armando said, the finer she is, the more she's doing. Not necessarily true. Armando, that's not necessarily true. A lot of men have that negative frame. That's not true. There are some women who are just as fine, but they don't have the same mentality. What you need to do is look into the mentality of the woman. Where all this comes from is the mindset of the woman. 2 different women can be just as attractive, both 10s, but have completely different mentalities. So you got to learn how to play the game. Not unfortunately, but the world that we're in today, a lot of men are teaching other men exactly what you just said there. So I understand why you said it, because a lot of men are going around believing that, but it's not always true. DVA said, bottom line, you can't change anybody. That's correct. Venus says, thirst traps, perhaps. Posting for male attention too concrete. Otherwise, you're preaching, sir. So, yes, thirst traps. Well, posting for male attention, depending on how you're doing it, could be a thirst trap. So it just depends on how you interpret it. So I get what you're saying. The Great Purple Lemon said, I came in on that last line. I can save her. Yeah. No, you don't want to save her. It used to be a song back in the day called Don't Save Her. Who's the rapper that did that song? It's called Don't Save Her. She don't want to be saved. Don't save her. Bright said, Lord, you like talking about Kanye. Well, I'll talk about anybody famous because it's a good frame of reference that I know everybody can understand. Carla said, you could do magic. Yes. TikTok Time says, celebrity relationships are fixed and paid for. They might be. That's why I said you can't really gauge completely off of them because you can't believe what you see on TV. Leon said, Ice-T forgave Coco. I forgot about Ice-T and Coco, but I don't really know the history of that one. I know more about the Kanye Kim because I listen to Kanye. I don't really listen to Ice-T's stuff. And I saw the Kim show when it first came out. Was that Project Pat Belford? Okay, Project Pat. Yeah, don't save her. So don't save her, gentlemen. Don't be Jesus. I thank you for the follows, folks. Damian, Shelby. TikTok said, how about a girl you settle with and you find out she has to hook up with your friends? Or she used to hook up with your friends? Well, what should happen first time is that your friends should have told you about that. If you find out, how'd you find out? Your friends should have told you about that. You shouldn't be finding it on your own. O-Dog said, yeah, it was Project Pat, 3-6 Mafia. Yeah, so both of y'all got it. So, Joe Bryant passed away last July? Okay, I don't think I remembered. O-Dog said, Kanye said in the song, I have me a good girl and still be addicted to the hood rats. Yes, exactly. Mike Tyson said the similar thing. He said, you can put me in a mansion with all this money, I'm going to still find my way to the ghetto and the drug dealers and the pimps and prostitutes because it's just who I am. O-Dog said, NBA players who've done things like that, NBA players are the biggest simps around. Yes, said by Brittany Renner. Brittany Renner, I saw a picture of her. Now she went, what is she now? Muslim? So she goes Muslim. And I saw her, she was sitting at an NBA game with Kevin Gates. I like some Kevin Gates songs, but that's an interesting career arc for her. Very interesting. But there was something that she said in the video years ago. Y'all know this chick, Brittany? So she was saying in the video, she's sitting in her car and she was saying, like, the easiest people to trick are NBA players or athletes. She said athletes because they're really dumb. And she was saying it kind of like she was joking, but she wasn't joking because then she goes and has a baby by an NBA player who was dumb enough to have unprotected sex with her. Now he got to pay child support. for as long as he got to pay child support, and he's forever connected to that woman because you got a baby together. You can't act like you wasn't with her because you had a baby with her. Now they ain't together anymore. I guess she's a single mom raising a kid, and now here she is dating another dude. Crazy out here. Anyway, American woman said a man shall leave his parents and cleave to his wife. All right, fair enough. So a bunch of you saying he's supposed to do that. He's supposed to leave his parents and get with the wife. The thing was not that he was not going to be up under his parents. The thing was his parents were saying, protect your assets. That was the disconnect between Kobe and his parents was, okay, you want to marry her. His parents are married. So obviously they don't have a problem with marriage. The problem was, Kobe, protect your assets. He didn't protect his assets. He did not get a prenup. So all that money went to her. And now all that money's out of the family. All that money in the Bryant family is gone. And now it's going over to his wife and whatever she wants to do. That's the issue. Stories about how that went down. King True said, I can never leave my mom. Well, you can leave your mom. The thing is, if your parents are offering you some sound advice, and listen, if Kobe had a lawyer, I'm sure his lawyer told him the same thing. Roseanne had this situation. You know Roseanne, who used to have a TV show, the actress, she got married to Tom Arnold, and her lawyer said to her, get a prenup. You got way more money than him. Get a prenup. She didn't get the prenup. You know what she did? Because her lawyer kept insisting, get a prenup. She fired her lawyer, got married without the prenup, and then guess what? He divorced her, and guess what she had to do? Pay him a whole bunch of money. So if you got a lawyer and you're paying a lawyer, listen to the damn lawyer. Anyway, Ed said, if you don't know how to play in the snow, just let it go. Yeah. Lindo said, did it really play out like that? Well, it's in the book. It's in the book, if you're talking about Kobe. Amber says, sowing your oats creates bad habits. How can Toy be faithful to one without experience? What do you mean by that, Amber? I'm not quite getting what you're saying. Ed said, got to stop tricking is basically prostitution. If you got to pay, that means she don't like you. In some ways, you can say that, Ed, but at the same time, there's another school of thought that says, hey, beauty does cost. And is that a thing? The answer is yes, depending on how you're playing the game. So if you're a man and you're not trying to get married, but you want to deal with very attractive women, then you do have to come out of your pocket on some level, because that woman has options of other men who are willing to spend money in order to get access to that woman. So if you want to compete, you're going to have to spend some money to get access to her. So you could call it tricking if you want to, but it's not tricking for the men who have the money. This is just the cost. This is the cost of playing the game. Remember, folks, third law of economics is everything has a cost. You got to pay something. All right, there is a cost to everything. When I say cost, it doesn't necessarily mean money, but sometimes it does mean money. Leon said, so he fell in by mistake. Mama had fun. Yeah, okay. You don't want to have to tell your kids that. Kim going to say I was young. Yeah, we know you were young, Mom. We can see that in the video. But why'd you do it? I am Tamel said, who cares? I think your kids will care. I am Tamel, your kids will care. Mama made a lot of mistakes when I was younger. I guess that's what she's going to say. But we got rich, though. She might say that. Mama was living her life. Okay. I don't know about that, because then if you tell that to your son, so what's he supposed to go get a girl who's doing the same thing? What example are you setting? That's the thing. That's the thing that, again, you got to think about how your kids are going to take. It's one thing what you say to the internet. What are you going to tell your children? Because your kids want answers. You got to actually give them an answer. Be kind. Thank you for the follow. Tasha said, does it matter who taught her? She has skills. Yes, it matters. And number one, it matters. You may never find out exactly who. What really matters, who was asking that question? I lost my spot. But whoever was asking that question, it matters how she got the skills. How many different people taught her for her to get that good? Does that matter? Absolutely, it matters. And the person who got that question, you're a woman. Let me see if I can find who said that. Tasha Bennett. You're a female. So I get your frame, your perspective, but as a man, hell yeah, it matters. Let me ask a question. Men in the room. Men who are listening to this right now. You meet a woman and she has a whole lot of skills in the bedroom. Does it matter to you where she got those skills from? Is that somehow, some way, at some point crossing your mind? Crossing my mind. How'd she get all those skills? I don't ask her, but I appreciate the skills. But how the hell did she get those skills? Because she didn't learn it from me. We just met last week. You ain't get it from me. Where'd you get those skills from? Does it matter to a man? Absolutely, it matters to a man. The men that I know, it matters. Nordic, thank you for the follow. Chris said, why are you talking about this at your big age? At my big age, I'm talking about a guy who's a generation or two older than me. And what he just did with a woman who's a generation or three younger than me. So that's why. These things happen. That's why we're talking about it. Tasha said, that's right. No one ever gives 100% to give a high percentage. It's not even about giving. It's about, do you even have it? Like, there's no perfect person. So even if someone's given 100% of what they have, is only 80% of what somebody else wants. That's the point. What's my occupation? I run a company called Work on Your Game Incorporated. We work with professional service entrepreneurs on scaling their businesses to the 6 and 7 figure level. Melly said, you can't, because you do have to maintain yourself as well to be healthy. Yeah, correct. Exactly. Tasha, thank you for the hearts. O-Dog said, it's tricking whether you have money or not. Okay. Some people think it's tricking. Some people say it's not tricking. I say that everything has a cost. Everything has a cost. So if you want to call that cost tricking, you can call it that. You can call it just paying your dues or paying the rent. It's what it is. Ajax, thanks for the follow. When just living, we got 14 minutes for comments, folks, then we'll be done. We will live a healthy relationship to get 20% in naughty S-talk because they breathe that daily. Okay, fair enough. Sugar, good morning. Mary said, like a doctor. Andrew said, there should be a book about this. There are a lot of books about it. Maybe I'll take this whole live and turn it into a book. Andrew said, they're going to expecting it to mean it's a loving relationship. Well, some people do. They don't know better. Jamie said, these grown men know what they are getting into. I don't think they do. That's the thing, Jamie. I think they are thinking with their reproductive brain rather than their logical brain. That's the reason why I'm talking about this. Love to laugh and learn said, I'm late joining. What's the topic? We're talking about men being reckless and dealing with women who are selling sex when you meet them. And you got to be able to discern who she actually is. Fitzgerald says, is she a Washington or a Benjamin? That's a good way of looking at it. Love to laugh says she was married 2 times. Oh, that's right. I forgot about the guy, the basketball player. What was his name? She was married to Chris Humphries. Yeah, I remember that. I forgot about that. Marcus said, where'd you meet your wife? South Florida, where I live. Rico's, thank you for the follow. Venus said, people will listen with critical thought instead of listening to defend. This will work. Well, good luck with that. Armando said, I think that girl only 19. I think what they said was she was 19 when they met, but now, and that was a few years ago, and now she's like early 20s. That's what I think I heard. Either way, it's a big gap, age gap. That doesn't make him wrong. Like, I mean, that's legal. 19 is legal, and 50-something is legal. So if they both chose to do it, it's all good. According to Shannon, they both chose to do it. There's nothing wrong with that. What's wrong is not the age gap, as far as I'm concerned. What's wrong is that he didn't see who she really was until after the deed was done. That's the part that he needs to be held accountable for. And if I was talking to him, that's what I would say to him. Carla, the stick and move. Yeah, stick and move. Hit and don't get hit. That's how it goes. Andrew said, my buddy got with a known host. She left the military. He still believed she chose him for good reasons. Yeah. The frugal baddie said, wow, your son was husband calling other women bitches. Yeah, no, get over it. Call the cops. I'm using the term as a figure of speech. You should probably understand that. But even if I actually called a woman a bitch, so what? Is that a crime? And Big Sexy Caramel, thank you for the follow. Armando said they're getting knocked out. Yeah, they're taking too much punishment. Boxing trainer tells me you don't want to take punishment. So you throw your punches, then you get out of range so they can't hit you back. You hit them and don't let them hit you. That's the whole point of the game. Yeah, bob and weave, exactly. Kayla says, so wait, only the man gets to get in and out. Kayla, no. But again, I want to remind everybody, the topic here today is for the men. I know women are listening, but I'm talking to the men. I don't mind women listening. Y'all should understand on some levels there are certain things that men talk about with other men that women don't need to hear. I'm not saying them here today. That's why I'm not being as explicit as I could be. I'm saying these things in a way that I don't care if women hear me saying it, but I'm talking to the men. O-Dog said, everything has a cost. A wife comes at a price, but a wife will honor and respect you. If you're paying the price, she is not doing that. It's tricking. Fair enough. Fair enough, O-Dog. I understand what you're saying. Venus said, men be more intentional, men be more thoughtful, protective of your future. Yes, well, it's hard to tell a man all these things when he's thinking with his reproductive brain. Though what you just said is speaking to the logical brain. The reproductive brain does not consider those things that you said. ALS says some great music from back in the day. Yeah, Belle Biv DeVoe. Yes. Tasha said, just like the song Poison. Not true. Yes, never trust a big butt and a smile. I remember that one. Boo, thanks for the follow. Okay, so all y'all remember Project Pat? Don't save her. Yeah. All right, let's see where we at. All right, a few more comments, folks. We got 9 minutes, just about 10 minutes, and then we will be done here. Thanks for the follows. By the way, you want to see the replay of everything I talked about here today is on my YouTube channel. The link to my YouTube is in my profile on TikTok. So my profile on TikTok, there's a link in there for my Instagram and my YouTube. You can follow both. Just in case I get kicked off TikTok, if you see me not going live Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern, just go to my YouTube or my Instagram, and I'll be there. Amber says, sowing your oats creates bad habits. How can you be faithful to a wife with experience dealing with several women? Well, if you dealt with several women and you protected yourself, then that's fine. I mean, is it really sowing your oats if you protected yourself? Because you didn't leave the oats in there. You left them in the contraception, you threw that in the trash can. Or you flush it down the toilet. Actually, you shouldn't flush contraceptives down the toilet because they're not biodegradable. That's the whole point of them. You just put them in the trash can. And if you don't trust the woman, then you wrap it up in a paper towel, put it in your pocket, and throw it in the dumpster when you get outside. All right. But anyway, y'all follow what I'm saying here. So I think a man absolutely can be faithful when he's had a lot of experience because, again, you got to get it out of your system. Biologically, actually, you don't have to. I understand there are men out there who get with a woman when he's 20 and y'all get married and you stay faithful to that woman for the rest of your life. If that works for you, do it. But I'm saying the men who are of more of the secular world, of which I guess I am, then the advice I'm giving is relative to the kind of world that we're in. You go out there, you get active, you do all your stuff, you protect yourself every single time. Contraception is not expensive. Protect yourself every single time, have your fun, and then when you're ready to settle down, you can chill because you did everything you need to do. That's the formula that I'll give to a man who is not living the holy life. All right, putting it that way. Venus said, "It ain't tricking if you got it." Who said that? A lot of people say that. All right, that no one person is credited with that comment. A lot of people say that. Andrew said, "I heard a girl say, if you see a girl that smells nice, well manicured, it costs to be around her." Generally, that's correct. It does cost. Now, understand, a beautiful woman to be around her does have a cost, but the cost is not always financial. The cost can be other things because not every woman is looking for that. There are women out there who could have access to men who are willing to use their money to get her attention, but she is simply not interested in a man just because of what he has. There are some women who operate that way. Like, hey, you got money, that's cool, but I need more than money. So they are interested in a man who can provide something other than money. Maybe he has money, but he can provide something else. Does he have stimulating conversation? Is he a good guy? Is he a husband material? All right. Does he have any type of substance? Is he doing something in the world? Maybe she loves the planet and she wants to protect the ozone layer and protect the earth from global warming. She wants to date a man who's interested in those things, whether he has money or not. She could be very beautiful, but she chooses the man based on her criteria, not based on, oh, he has money, so I'm just going to go to whoever the highest bidder is. Because if that's all it was, then you wouldn't see the average man who's making 50 grand a year. He wouldn't have a woman if every woman was choosing based on that. So again, everybody has their own criteria and there's a buyer for every product. So a bunch of you saying it does matter. So again, for the woman who was asking, I think it was Tasha, I think it was you who was asking, does it matter if a woman has a bunch of skills and how she got them? And the men are saying, yes, it absolutely matters. I know it matters. So all men, we consider these things. All right, how does she get that ability? And I'll give you another example. This is a guy who wrote books. His name is Tucker Max. Some of you may know about him. He's a white guy I think he's from Florida, but he lives in Texas now. Really smart guy. He wrote a bunch of books in this category called Fratire that he wrote. This is probably about 2007-ish. He wrote several books. And there are all these funny books about him telling stories about basically going out to bars and clubs, getting drunk, meeting girls, and having sex with them. And he's a white guy. He's mostly meeting and having sex with white girls. But he tells this story one time of that. He had this girl who would come over and deal with him on a consistent basis. She comes over to his apartment one night. He's at his apartment chilling. She's like, hey, I'm about to go out, but I'll come over to your house first. She comes over his house. She performs oral sex on him, right? She performs oral sex on him. And then she kind of cleans up and she says, hey, I got to go and I got a date tonight. Or I got to go meet, whoever. I'm going out with some guy, et cetera, et cetera. She leaves and goes out with some other guy. She goes and meets with the guy that she's going out with. And Tucker Max, is thinking to himself, wait a minute. She just came over my house, performed oral sex on me, has my specimen in her mouth and in her throat. And now she's about to go out with another guy. She's going to kiss that guy and maybe perform oral sex on him. And he got to thinking, wait a minute, how many girls have I kissed who did the same thing and I just happened to be the second guy instead of the first guy? This is the kind of things men think about. And if you're a man, you should be thinking about this. You should be thinking about this. Where was she before she came over here? Or who was over here before I got over here? Men do think about these things. So does it matter? Absolutely it matters. Bobby, thanks for the follow. Amber says, some of your O's create bad habits. Already answered that one. ALS says, I think your lessons and speeches would be very helpful in middle and high school lectures. Me too, ALS. The problem is schools, or ALS. Schools wouldn't hire me. So middle and high school has got to find me on the internet. They're not going to bring me into a school. Venus says, that word bitch is mean, though. I don't like when you say it. Well, mean? I mean, what is this, kindergarten? Life is mean, Venus, unfortunately. Gracie, thank you for the follow. Mary, thank you for the follow. Eugene, thank you for the follow. Andrew said, I had to tell my boy about 2 minute, 2 hour, 2 day people who wasn't trying to hear it. Yeah, I think you told me that a couple of weeks ago. Amber said, no, you get used to the thrill of several women. Now you have one. Well, one at a time. It's not like you're having orgies with 8 chicks. One at a time. And that's fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I get it. And Amber, you're a female. So again, I told all of you, this conversation here today is for the men. I understand the women are listening, but I'm talking to the men. So you women who are pushing back on some of the things that I'm saying, there's a reason why you're pushing back, because this is the kind of things that some men would only allow men to hear what I'm saying. Therefore, I wouldn't be saying it on the internet. I would just get a bunch of men together in a room, no women allowed, and I would say these things in a much more graphic and more explicit way if I was only talking to men. And it wasn't on TikTok. It's TikTok, you can't talk crazy. So the women who are listening to this, enjoy it. And you may disagree if you wish, but I'm not really talking to you. I'm talking to the men. This is for men to understand. Might cost you your soul. Butterfly Howard, good morning. Armando, yeah, you're right. Nerone said, I nearly threw up at the thought of that situation. Well, Nerone, let me tell you this. I don't know if you're a man or a woman, but if you're a man and you have enough experience with enough women, you've probably been guilty of it. You've probably been the victim of it and don't even know. We got to keep it real, man. We got to keep it real. Again, he thought to himself, those of you who didn't hear the story, this woman came over his house, performed oral sex on him, and then she said, I got to go because I'm going to meet up with some guy that she's going to date, et cetera, et cetera. Or it might have been her boyfriend. And he's thinking to himself, wait a minute, she just performed oral on me. She's about to go meet up with a guy and kiss him with what's in her mouth that came out of me. And he thought to himself, well, wait a minute, I'm sure other women have come and kissed me after they did the same thing to a different guy. I don't think they're only doing it for me. And he was correct. So all you men, be careful. Be careful what you're doing. I remember my dad, when I was a teenager, he said to me, listen, you get out there messing with girls, every girl you kiss, you are kissing every man that she's kissed. He was right. That's what it is. That's what it is, folks. It is the game. Andrew said, as long as it doesn't start off purely transactional. Well, what if it does? And again, the woman is having you the same way you're having her. You have sex with a woman. She is using you just as much as you're using her. And as a matter of fact, she controls whether the sex happens or not. So when you really think about it, you didn't F the girl. She F'd you. But men walk around saying, yeah, I F'd her. Really, she F'd you. Because she controlled the situation. If she didn't answer your text, you couldn't have F'd her. She only F'd you because she decided, all right, I got these 3 guys texting me. I'm going to F him tonight. And that's how you got your opportunity. So she controlled the entire situation. So did you F her? Did she F you? I think she F'd you. That's what it is. I'm just, Cindy, what you walked into is a conversation that really would be only amongst the men. But I'm having this conversation out loud here today publicly for those of y'all to understand. If I was talking to just men, I would be saying things much more explicitly, much more graphically, and I'd say a lot of things that I did not say here today. I'm very much censoring myself because I know women are listening, and I know that these apps have community guidelines that I don't want to cross. All that said, it is 10 o'clock, so we got to wrap this one up. Yes, barbershop talk, exactly. See, women, you're not allowed in the barbershop. See, this is exact. Brandon Jones, you got it perfect. Now, as you can see, I don't go to the barber. I shave every day. I actually do have hair. I just shave every day. But I don't be in a barbershop. But this is the kind of conversation that would happen in a barbershop amongst only men, no women allowed. And this is the kind of things that get talked about. All right, so any of you didn't know, when your man goes to the barbershop and he's gone for like 3 hours, it's not because his haircut took 3 hours. It's because they're in there having man talk in a place that women are not allowed. You understand? So that's what this was a cleaned up version of that. This is a PG-13 version of that we had here today. So tomorrow, I don't know what the topic is going to be. And yeah, go next door to the salon. Yes, exactly. And the women having the same conversation in the salon where the men can't be. So anyway, I do these live streams Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern. If you like this one, I will be back tomorrow. And tomorrow we may be talking about a completely different subject. I don't know what the topic is going to be tomorrow. Usually I go off current events. So this Shannon Sharpe thing went viral yesterday. That's why I'm talking about it today. Whatever happens today, I might talk about that tomorrow. So we don't know what the topic is going to be, but I pick a topic. And if you like this one and you think I'm good, this is going to be good tomorrow. Whatever the subject may be, it may be something political, it may be something social, it may be something dating wise like this. It could be something business related. Who knows? So whatever it is, it doesn't matter. If you like my style, then you're going to like the topic. Doesn't matter what I talk about. When you're good at what you do, it doesn't matter the subject. You can make it look good. So that's what I'm going to do. If you like this one, come back tomorrow. If you hated this, come back tomorrow. If you're not sure what you walked into, come back tomorrow. If you didn't like I was talking directly to the men and you're a female, come back tomorrow. It might not be the case here tomorrow. Follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is in my profile on TikTok. Follow me on YouTube. My YouTube is in my profile on TikTok. Thank you to all the moderators that we have in here. I don't know if any of them are still in here, but thanks to all my moderators keeping things in order here. I will see you all tomorrow at 8 a.m. Eastern. 8 a.m. Eastern. We go from 8 to 10 every time. Sometimes shorter than that, but always 8 to 10 Eastern. Monday through Friday is when we do these. Oh, dog. Yeah, I see you over there. I will see you all tomorrow, 8 a.m. Everybody have a great, what's today? Wednesday? Everybody have a great Wednesday. We are out of here. Work on your game.